I want to officially welcome everybody here. We're kind of at that top of our programming. So welcome back to another amazing and exciting installment of NSA Houston's Professional Development Workshops. This is the place to come to get your iron sharpened. You can get paid as a speaker, consultant, coach, any expert-based business. That's who we gather together with. That's who we learn from. Really excited about our programming today. And I will add as a special note, really excited that the sun is beaming as high as it is, because we've all been through so much the past few weeks. Snowpocalypse, whatever you and your family have called it. We have all bounced back, and some of us are still, in the process of bouncing back. And one of the things that is so super powerful about NSA is our intentionality about building each other up together. And that's not just something about NSA Houston. That is something that is part of the National Association, that spirit of Cabot, that abundant generosity, one of NSA's values. And one of the reasons why we have a speaker who joined us from his side of the world, of the states, and I'll leave that to our VP of programs to do his introduction. But we're just so grateful for the generosity and speakers that come and share their experience with us, so that we can continue to grow and develop in our careers and make all of the adjustments that we need to make in this COVID time. So real quick, let me look around. I said hello as people walked in the room. Let's see, I don't see any visitors, although Michael Winters, are you a visitor? I've seen your name before. No, I didn't think so. Jill, we were talking about it.
Yeah.
All right, because I like to welcome our visitors and tell you, okay, the first time you don't have to do dishes, but when you come back, you need to do some dishes, because that's just how we work. Okay, so now I see your face. See, all right, Michael, I know you.
I'm eating breakfast, but I don't want you to see me eating my breakfast, so I'm just turning the video off for that.
Sorry, it's all good. I know your face, and I just lost the connection of the face and the name. So good to see you back this morning. Good to see everyone. One of the things, because we are a professional association, we have a development path and a development track. And I want to take a moment to honor those CSPs, those certified speaking professionals. We've got Karen McCullough on the line. Karen, wave at us. Karen's got her CSP designation. We've got Jeff McGee's got his CSP designation. And that is a designation that a small percentage of professional speakers have. And so as you're continuing to grow and develop your business, be on the lookout for people with that designation. Those are mentors to be. That's where we're aspiring, and that's the whole way that our professional development works. So with that said, I wanted to make one quick point before we move on into our programming, and that is, while we've got great local programming, get involved with our chapter. Giving and getting is very much the spirit of NSA, very much the spirit of Cabot. Since I came into NSA a few years ago, I've been on the board, and it has helped my business. It has helped me professionally and personally in amazing ways. But I also want to mention that there are opportunities to do that on the national level. So we'll talk some more as we close about NSA influence and how that's going to look this year. It's going to be a hybrid, both virtual and in person. And if you are able to do so, there are spots available to go to Vegas. And if not, you can still join virtually, and there's going to be lots of interaction. So get involved in the local and national events, and that is how you will get so much more member value, because that's what we're all about, is how can you leverage your membership in NSA to grow your business and to continue to adapt to these changing times.
I signed up for the virtual. I'm still a little chicken to get on a plane, but I'm coming virtually.
All right. And there's still time for that to be upgraded. So that's the cool thing. I also have a couple of other announcements that I'll make at the end, Kim. So just remind me when we get to the end, a couple of national mentions that I want to make. But I like to get out of the way as quickly as possible, because you guys didn't get up, get your coffee this morning to hear me say, hey, good morning. Although I do want to, rah everybody on. But hey, I want to hand over to Kim Davis. And oh, you know what's so funny? My name is Alana Hill. I just assume everybody knows my name. Alana Hill have the privilege of serving as president of this chapter this year. But I'm going to hand over to Kim Davis, who is our VP of programs, who's done an amazing job of bringing us fabulous speakers. Over to you, Kim, to get us going.
All right, thanks, Elena, and good morning, everybody. Welcome to NSA Houston. So glad that you are joining us, those of you locally who are getting a chance to look outside and see this amazing weather. And those of you from somewhere else, thank you. Welcome to Houston. And Dr. Jeff, thank you. I know that you're out west, which means you got up really early. It's just now 7 a.m., so we really appreciate you. Let me tell you who we have joining us today. There's so much to talk about. I won't spend a huge time, but he is a certified management consultant, a certified board executive, a certified professional speaker, and a certified professional direct marketer. So his background is pretty extensive. I think you're going to be really excited about what you're going to hear today. I'm looking forward to learning something that will impact my business and that I can maybe help impact others. And so whether it's team development, leadership, management, sales, all of those things fall under his wheelhouse. And he is also a best-selling author. So he joins us all the way from Las Vegas today to talk about sales mastery. He's been called one of today's leading leadership and marketing strategists. And he works with C-suite business leaders, military generals, and CEO to CEO peer groups across America. Good morning. Welcome, Dr. Jeff. And thank you so much for being a part of NSA Houston today.
Thank you guys very much. Thank you all for being up early as well. And let's dive in. I will save all of the hyperbole and how great I am stories for another day. One of the challenges we have is just what Kim said, getting right to the chase. I've been a part of NSA going on a little over 30 years. So I've been around this block a while. Within that, I've had the opportunity to be the chapter president in Oklahoma, be on the board of the Mountain West chapter in Salt Lake, and president of the Las Vegas chapter. So I definitely understand and appreciate everything you all are doing, both from a leadership perspective. And if you're a member, again, it takes a lot of work to do this. And so I just want to acknowledge that as well as we get started. And that really is a great starting point for us as professional service providers. I'm going to use some different words today to challenge how we think about this business. If you go to a solo practitioner who's a doctor, they may have a small staff or one person, or a dentist or a CPA or an engineer or an attorney. They're professional services. Again, even on your own board, you have Ed Robinson. He and I go back many, many, many years. So, again, if you look at what we do, we're in the professional services industry, whether you are a solo practitioner or you have a staff. I am a solo practitioner. I sold my company with 144 employees a couple of years ago. And what I learned works as a solo practitioner, you simply scale it up when you have staff. And when you go small, you scale it back down. So the tools I'm going to share today, whether you are a Lone Ranger or you have a staff of 1 or 2 employees, that's code for kids or family members, or you have a VA or you have a staff, it doesn't matter. These tools will work. So view yourself as professional services. And for our guests that are here today, let me do a shout out for what Elena just said. If you're not involved in the chapter, you are massively missing an accelerator to your success. My opinion. The number one place you can grow your business is at the chapter level. Identify those people that are doing what you want to do and mentor them. Start buying them lunch, dinner, Starbucks, whatever. It's the cheapest consulting fee because that is the spirit of not just Cabot. That's really the spirit of successful people. People that are truly successful freely give when they know you're legitimate. We don't like to give when you say, hey, can you help me? But you're never going to do a damn thing with it. People that think they're successful are the ones that are the pain in the butt because they never want to jump up and do anything because they think they're great, but they haven't arrived. So with that, get involved in the chapter. Look at the people that are doing this 10, 20, 30 years more than you, no matter what your age is, because there's a lot of longevity. Even on your own board, when you look at each other's LinkedIn profile, you see a whole lot of you have been doing this for 20 plus years. And that's where I am as well. Second, get involved in, and again, Rob and some of you are also old enough to remember, NSA used to do these weekend labs in Tempe where they would zero in on one specific discipline. Those were phenomenal. They've evolved away from that. And then the national influence is also great. Just as with any trade association, we are a trade association as well. So we need to leverage those elements. So everyone should have a copy of this program, whether you printed it out or you have it as a PDF. If you don't have it, put something in the chat section and Kim can forward it to you, repost it there. So I'm going to kind of follow my handout. And I'm going to also share ideas while I'm going to kind of like mentally hit pause and let me explain what I've just done as we go through this so that we can make it not only just an informational, educational, but a learning experience. Some of you do a lot of virtual, whether it's keynotes or educational development training. Some of us do it live. Some of it's a hybrid of both. Some of you got sucked into the I need to build a studio game that happened last June when everyone realized that they basically had no business. So you can look at this from any angle you want. So I have a home-based office, and that's nothing new because the majority of all of my multi-million, $100 million, and billion-dollar clients, a lot of their colleagues are all working from home too. So it might have been embarrassing to say that maybe 4 years ago. It's a norm today. Everyone's working from their kitchen or their bedroom or living room. So with that, you should be making money right now. If you have been in trauma mode for the past year, then slap your wrist. Shame on you. Shame on you. That's a wake-up call. Every 10 years in business, something major happens that's a game changer. It's a pivot point. There's your buzzwords of the day. I've written a book and I use the word trajectory code, so I'm no longer going to use other people's language. I'm going to use mine. It's a trajectory code. It's a trajectory changing opportunity. Some of us were in business back on 9/11. That was the change in business. Hospitality industry today is upside down. It's exactly the way it was after 9/11. No one really wanted. One of our colleagues just said it. I've signed up for the virtual. Don't know if I want to get on a plane right now. So it's nothing new. I mean, that was exactly what happened then. And if you adjusted your business plan after 9/11, you made money in the last 12 months. But a lot of people didn't catch it. And so what happened then in 2008, 9, and 10, that was the next major change to the marketplace because of the real estate collapse around the country. And now what do we have here in essence in 2020, 2021? We have COVID. So if you think about business, here's where I'm going. And I'm teaching points right now, even though I'm not really on any of the printed pages. You can be writing this stuff down anywhere you want. Look at your business, and you've always got to be doing with the financial side. Some of our colleagues in the Houston chapters, I'm not going to say you, me, us. So some of our colleagues have financial backgrounds. A couple of you have phenomenal SHRM certification. So think about the financial world. El Paso Energy, located at 1001 Louisiana Street there in Houston, has been a client of mine for almost 30 years. Originally, they were called Tenneco, then it was El Paso Energy, and now it's Kidder Morgan. So how do you look at business? Well, I remember one day standing upstairs looking out the executive windows. Interestingly, in the old days, people used to spend a whole lot of money because they thought they were important. There was like an entire executive floor with nice little breakout rooms for meetings, little walkways with like, you know, you're in a Chinese garden or Japanese garden and water underneath of it. And they had their own little lunch and food rooms. I'm looking out the window and I'm seeing this company called Enron. I don't know if anyone remembers that company. I'm going like right for the jugular. Well, they got in trouble because they were not paying attention. And again, the thing about Enron, it's a good story, and I'm going there on purpose because it has a direct correlation to you and I in business, was that they got so focused on what they shouldn't have been doing, and everyone was grossly overcompensated. Everyone was making money, that everyone that should have been holding someone else accountable, everyone had skin in the game. That's why no Republican or Democrat went down on that one, because both sides of the party took equal amount of money in their pockets for that company. So you got to, in essence, think like a big business. And so I use these stories to come back. Most of NSA are solo practitioners. If you want to run a successful business, you have to start thinking like a Fortune 500 company. Any company, if you want, I'm going to use that as a point of reference. If you have a Fortune 500 company, you have a CEO that runs it. That CEO is responsible for every major business entity. They're going to have a CFO, or they're going to have a COO. They're going to have a so just think about that. So the hats we wear in this business, whether we like it or not, you have to be smart with your money and financing. You have got to be smart with IT and technology. You've got to be smart with operating your business. You've got to be smart with fill in the blanks. And if you start thinking of your business like a real business, thank God NSA is now making the first pivot in 20 years. It's about time we get someone with a brain there. What are we changing our website to be about? Two things, the business and the platform, because that's all that it is. And here's the problem. Everyone in our organization gets too, in essence, enamored. I don't know, we're all drunk when we wake up or something on the stage. The stage is nothing. That's a byproduct of the business. If we get smarter about the business, you'll get any stage opportunity you want. So I'm not going to talk about selling to get one keynote. I'm not going to talk about how you sell to get one training event. Obviously, as I share my ideas today, you can apply them that way. Here's the pivot that I learned 20 years ago that's been golden. In Denver at Influence, I shared this model, and the room should have been packed. See, the difference was I was talking about business. The other breakout sessions were all talking about the lipstick, prettiness on the stage. Interesting, a whole lot of those people, with all due respect, are the same ones that had to second mortgage their house in last year to pay their bills. I'm using these shock statements not to be disrespectful, from you is to realize everything about this business is important, but the one thing we typically talk the least about is how to run the business, how to manage the business, and how to sell. So first thing you want to do is think about who's best in your business and start modeling them. I call it the Les Brown factor. Years and years and years ago, I started working and interacting with him, and he and I have flown around the world to do programs. And so people would come up to me and say, I want to be a motivational speaker. First of all, I hate that title because that's the last thing you should ever want to be branded by, because if so, you were the first ones to be canceled after 9/11. You were the first ones to be downsized and canceled after 2008. You're the first ones to be canceled in March and April of 2020. Word motivation is not what you want connected to your head. It could be a sub-product. When people bring me in, I do blank, 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 and highly energize and motivate the crowd. Okay, boom, you work the word into the sentence. That should be the first word as to who you are. It's like going to the county fair. Cotton candy looks pretty, but 2 bites later, there's nothing left. That's the problem with motivation, is what do you do to give people the juice to stay motivated when you're not there? That's where you're going to make money. I've now given you 5 ways to be making money if you're taking notes and counting them up. So CSP, so Les Brown, they say, I want to be like Les Brown. It's okay, then stop and study Les Brown. How does he do his business? What does he do? It's great. Now we'll start to give you some ideas. What launched Les Brown was not his ex-wife, Gladys Pitt. What launched Les Brown was not that he was a radio DJ. What launched Les Brown was not his story about his mama. Those are all great stories he has. What launched him was when he did his PBS program. If you're not familiar with that one, there's your homework assignment. When he did his program on PBS, that was a freaking game changer. Or even said, holy crap, how did you do that one? I want to go do one of those. And then he did one. So again, what is it that's the turning point that will launch your business? So for me, what changed my business was realizing the amount of time it takes to sell a one-time engagement is the same amount of energy it takes to sell a 1-year contract. I'm a content guy. I love keynotes. I love getting on the stage. We probably all like that high, even if you're a massive introvert. But what I recognize is that that is the last place you want to go, is be the main stage speaker, unless you have a system where you can get those $10, $20, $30, $40,000 stage appearances. You can get them consistently every month of every year. Then absolutely go there. But for me, what I recognize is that people that do the main stage of your business is up and down and up and down and up and down. So I want to take that up and down. And I want to level that thread out so it's more consistent, flat. And if anything, I want it to be slightly going up consistently. So I'm going to share with you how I did that. And it's what I talked about in Denver in that program, how I completely changed my business. And when COVID hit, not one of my clients canceled me. Not one of my clients slowed down. Every client instantly pivoted to virtual. I do typically 6-hour long training programs, call them whatever you want, with executive level teams. Typically my audience will have anywhere from 14 to 50 people in the room. And that was interesting because not one canceled. They instantly pivoted. We did virtual. And I'll talk about virtual. And again, if you don't have a Teams account, you need to get it, or whatever you use. But my clients use WebEx, so I had to learn how to use their platform. My clients use Microsoft Teams. I had to learn how to use their platform. Some of my clients use Zoom. I use theirs or my platform. Some still old school. They use, in essence, GoTo, and they use Skype. Doesn't matter the video platform, you still can engage people virtually and make a ton of money. This is my office. I have a 3-foot runway between my desk and my wall, so I can move back, I can do things as well. So again, how do you look at things? What I've learned for content delivery, your clients don't care what your background looks like as long as it's professional. What they want is you, the content delivery vehicle, just like when you're there on site live. So don't get so wrapped around all of the lights and bells and whistles. Now, if that's your persona, hey, go for it. So what I've just talked you through is page 1, page 2, page 3, page 4, page 5, page 6, page 7, page 8. So now we're on page 9 in your handout. There we go. So if you weren't tracking those notes, no big deal. Page 9, let's talk about some information on page 9. So if I want to sell more effectively, this is what selling to me comes down to. 5 elements. If you look at sales funnel conversations, some of you talk about this as well. If you look at talking about your sales pipeline, some of you talk about that as well. So I want to take it to the next level because I know I've got some peers on here that are in somewhat of the same space. So I don't want to say exactly what you would say. Otherwise, you're going to be starting to hear your internal voice and not your ear. And you'll be going, well, I could have said that. I could have said that. I could have said that. At which point, stop and say, but am I doing that? A lot of times when I go to these NSA meetings, the reason I love going to them is to see how many things I know I should be doing and I'm not. And then it's kind of like I get to slap myself to say, wake up, do these things, Jeffrey. If you're going to complain about something, you can't complain until you know you've done everything you're supposed to have done. So on the top of the page, just kind of ask yourself, put percentage signs next to each of these. Our business comes down to finding customers, what's virtual engagements, live engagements, or whatever you want to go after. And I'm going to talk about virtual engagements because that's where everyone still lives right now. But what percentage of your time do you find customers? You know the answers, but put a percentage sign next to number one. Put a number later because I'm going somewhere. Number two, what amount of time do we spend in terms of not just looking for customers, one, but number two, actually selling and trying to get the customer? So think about number two. Three, how much time do you spend with the customers you have? Whether you're delivering something for them right now or not, doesn't matter. How much time do you spend with your active customers, your inactive customers, your past customers, your dead accounts? So what amount of time do you spend with them? See, it's like dating. The first three, here's the problem. In most business, any business, it's like dating. There's someone you want to date, you spend a ton of time strategically thinking about how to connect with them, how to get with them. And you spend a ton of time getting with them, a ton of time dating and courting. Let's go out and let's drink and let's eat and let's hike and let's do stuff. And then it's like, once you get married, you go, okay, good, done. See you in 30 years, bye-bye. So again, wait a minute. So that's what the first three are talking about. How much time do we spend trying to find, get, and keep? And what really happened in 2020 is a lot of us realized we weren't spending very much time prospecting and really looking for leads. And our funnels really weren't that impressive because when the doors all shut across the country in March of 2020, a lot of us were kind of going, oh God, holy crap, what do I do? That's a clue that you sucked in steps 1, 2, and 3. So then step 4 then is how do we grow those customers? So see, soon as 9/11 hit, what was I doing? I had no clue I was doing this page. That's what Marjorie Brody helped me to realize. I was actually strategically doing something and didn't realize it. So then I systematized it. Write down that word. You've got to systematize everything. So when COVID hit, I already had the system in play. And anything I talk about today, if you guys want to keep a side notepad of anything I talk about I'm doing or I have, and if you want copies of it, just send me an email. I'm more than happy to share anything. I got no secrets. So for example, soon as COVID hit, I instantly already had an existing relationship. I use Upwork.com to find freelance graphic design people, and you can find all kinds of people. If you don't use Upwork.com or something like them, check them out, get a free account. And again, if you want a new media piece created, you can type in there what you want, however much money you want to spend, and you can hit submit to only graphics people in Texas or Houston or the United States or the freaking globe. I don't care. And that's what I do. So I've got a graphic guy that I use that lives in Bosnia. And he has done my workbooks. He does my branding materials. He does a ton of my materials. But I also have, in essence, a person who does some media pieces for me that lives in Egypt. Another one lives in the Philippines. So I have 4 or 5 people that do marketing pieces for me. And typically I'll pay $50 to $100 for 4 or 5 pieces to be created. And they're phenomenal. I mean, if I went to a normal graphics person 3 years ago, here in the U.S., they would charge hundreds, if not thousands of dollars for this stuff. The average monthly paycheck for someone who lives in the Philippines is $400. You put the stuff in perspective, and there's some great talent in these other countries. Okay, that to come back to. So as soon as COVID hit, I'm getting out of my car here in Las Vegas in the underground parking lot of the Cosmopolitan Resort. That's casino property to one of my clients and do leadership work with the executive team. I'm getting out of my car, my cell phone pings. The CEO secretary is pinging me, and she's saying, no need to come upstairs, which scares me because they evidently must have seen me on the camera. Great intuition. No need to come upstairs. The CEO just got off of the phone with the governor. It's not been made public knowledge, but the governor's closing the state down next week. And they've got other issues right now. They'll call you later today. So I went back home. I instantly got on with my graphics guy in Bosnia, and I said, can you create, and I gave him the ideas, how do you manage and lead in turbulent times? I didn't use the word COVID, but turbulent times was exactly what we all were walking into in March last year. So by the 20th of March, I already had 4 branded media pieces created talking about how I can help from a coaching, consulting, and training standpoint, talking about these issues. I sent to all my clients. That's 1, 2, 3, 4 on the top of the page. I was sending out to people in my database. That's 1, 2, 3 on this page. I was posting on social media. That's 1 on the top of this page. And so from that, I was already planting a seed in my client's head that they're about to experience some trauma issues. Hey, take a deep breath. Jeff Magee's already your trusted advisor. I just stole that word from the CPA world. I'm already your trusted advisor. I'm already in lockstep with you. Matter of fact, I'm 2 steps ahead of you. So let's jump on a phone anytime you want and let's walk through this. Let's make sure so that no one even had the thought of I'm canceling this, delay that, cancel that, let's cancel Magee. My name was never in the conversation of cancel because I was 2 steps ahead of them no, you're not canceling. You're giving me more money, but we'll talk about money later. Right now, just how do I help you? I had a major association. I do the second keynote in March. Every March, they have their convention in Chicago. So think about, for a lot of you here, March and April, the majority of the inbound emails you got was cancellations. So instead of freaking out, my immediate response, which very few speakers I come to learn sadly did this. I thought all of us would have. So my immediate response to every one of those was, I completely understand. Contract doesn't mean anything. If there's anything I can help you, your staff, or your members from a virtual standpoint, just let me know what it is. I'm 100% in. We don't need to talk about money. And that was kind of my response. If we need to do a webinar, et cetera, et cetera. So this one association, what's interesting was the gentleman responded back and said, Jeff, are you serious? I said, yeah, this is about helping people. And he goes, let's put something together for all of the business leaders. So we did a 2-hour webinar with over 180 business leaders in these industries, and every one of them financially could buy me to bring me in. You talk about a lead generator designed just around you, because that's what that association director did. From that, we designed quarterly 4 more. We did 4-hour-long programs that we did in essence. The first one, second one free. He said, I can't keep doing this until we turn the last 2 into revenue generations. And each one of those, we split 50-50 the money, and it was roughly about $8,000 that I got paid for 4 hours of my time on virtual. We're not supposed to talk about money in NSA. BS to that. The reason we don't talk about it is because most people don't want to talk about money is because they're not making what you think they are. And if likely you're going to get all of us to collude and come up with the same price, good luck. We're not going to do any price fixing. You can't get 3 of us to agree on anything. So I'll even give you numbers. So Patricia Fripp, she has a client in Miami. Same thing. They're doing virtual programs by the middle to end of 2020, and they're paying $4,500 for basically a 45-minute keynote. So I'm giving you also financial numbers, guys. Write this stuff down so you have reference points, what people are actually paying. I know people are saying, well, I want to do webinar, but I don't know what they're charging. I'm giving you the clues right now. So most people will pay somewhere around $4,000, $5,000, $6,000 for up to an hour of your time on a keynote or a breakout or et cetera. That's kind of the going numbers right now. Les Bryan and I just did a program for a group out of Toronto. I know exactly what they paid him, which is a couple bucks more than me. And I just gave you the reference point of what they paid me. So people that were getting 10, 20, 30 grand in 2019, they're not getting that right now. They may start to get some one-offs that will pay big bucks, and they may start to get more of those as we get into 21 and 22. But this, everyone's still trying to fill themselves through this. I spent the last 2 days with a lady that owns one of the top, not top 10, but one of the top 20 speaker bureaus in the country. And she was talking about basically last year, they did almost 0 deliverables last year. Everything was canceled. Towards the end of the year, they start rewriting tons of contracts for this year, next year. So again, how do you look at things? So again, 1, 2, 3, 4. I can't interpret every concept I'm going to give you today. We're never going to get done. I've cherry picked from 16 hours of ideas I normally would share in a sales program what might be the most important that I can give you in 2 hours. So again, these 5 we own from the sales standpoint in our business: finding, getting, keeping, growing. And number 5, turning your customers into such wild raving fans. They give you leads. They give you intel. One of my clients in West Virginia, they have operations in Houston and have operations in Scottsdale. And the CFO of that business is my client. We've known each other for many, many years. I guess I farmed him out of an audience with an association that I also do programs with for a long time. So you have to also look at who you do work with. I have 3 associations in 3 completely different industries. I do keynotes at conferences that they do, and I do educational breakouts for. Just like CSP is one of the ways our association makes money, that's the way every association makes money. Associations make money only 4 ways. If you have any content, you should be in essence going to every association you can find, because one of the ways they make money is providing educational workshops to their members. And if they have a certification, that's the second way that you can generate money. So we'll talk about, again, how to approach them and where to find these names, et cetera. But again, golden. So from that association, which is in another industry, electrical industry, this gentleman, in essence, is a CFO/COO of a $400 million company. He said, you know, I attended this sales training program. I didn't know you did sales. I thought you were the leadership guy. See, I, in essence, live in 2 lanes, which is counter to a lot of what you hear in the NSA, which is pick one lane. I live in 2 because I feel I can justify 2. I grew up in sales, evolved into management, evolved into owning business, had disasters in businesses, and huge successes in business. So I play them both. Pause. Here's one of my lines. Look at any business in the last 12 months that has either survived or thrived, and the senior leadership team in their pedigree has sales in their background. Look at any business in the last 12 months that has survived or died, and their leadership team has no clue about sales. What makes my leadership program different is I weave into all of my leadership development sales revenue generation ideas, strategies, and techniques. So no matter if you're the CFO, you're the CIO, the COO, you're learning about revenue generation. See, the old school, a couple of you have some phenomenal educational pedigrees and you teach at a school, which makes you a great professor because you also have a real job. The problem with academia is most professors have never signed in front of a check, so they have no clue what they're saying, and that's why they use widgets in their stories. If you open your mouth and talk about a widget, you should be banned from the planet as a CSP or an NSA member. You have real life stories. So COVID has been the best real life story. 85% of the restaurants on the Las Vegas Strip are not open right now. 40% of them that were open in January of last year are gone and out of business. Why? None of those chef-owned businesses or leaders understand sales. Completely sad. I just sold my penthouse I lived in for the last 7 years in a high-rise on the Las Vegas Strip. There's 7 high-rise condos on the Strip. If you take those high-rise condos and smash them down, it's called a suburb in any city, USA. There's thousands and thousands of people living in those high-rise. It's a freaking captive audience. Not one of those restaurants thought to go over to those buildings and say, you know what, you have a front desk staff. Can we bring them free breakfast, free lunch, free dinner? And we put a sign over here in the mailbox area because all your tenants come down to get their mail. Put some coupons on the counter to induce people to order out, order delivery, and in essence, we can make money. Think about it. Starbucks has made more money in 2020 in the majority of all of their franchises that in essence only a couple franchises are left that they're out there, and Magic Johnson owns most of those. They've bought back most all their franchises. Now they're all corporate owned, but most all of their stores that have drive-up windows in the months that you could walk into them actually made more money in 2020 than they made in 2019. None of us saw a McDonald's or a Panda Express with a drive-up window go out of business in the last year, but all these other restaurants got closed down. Again, so that's a real life story. I weave those into my real life leadership and sales programs. I then dissect what they mean, and I would take that restaurant and I would show you 10 ways that those restaurants can be profitable right now if they had understood in theory what I just shared. All right, let me in essence take a deep breath because sometimes people say I talk too slow. Even you have to make a little fun on yourself. See, when you get excited, your pace naturally picks up. And I haven't had my coffee yet, so I guess that's a good thing. So how do we look at what we're doing? So top of page 9, think about those words, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. You put percentage signs next to each. So your homework assignment is when you go back, how much time do you really, truly, legitimately spend on any given course of a week in those 5 areas because you own all 5. If you were a Fortune 500 company, you would have major key leaders that you could hold accountable for their business enterprise unit or staff to own those units. Well, if you're a solo practitioner, you've got to, in essence, play with each one of those. And if you do nothing on number 1 for 5 days, that's fine. You owe yourself 5 days worth of work on that eventually. And a lot of times we drop the ball. When you take the main stage, you should never give an infomercial. You should be able to weave into your conversation all the other ways you can help your client. So you're hitting tons of people in the audience to all get excited or want to look you up and buy you when you leave. Again, you should never sell product at the back of the room. God, I wish we had days to share ideas. I've learned how to pre-sell 100% of the audience my products. I have never sold at the back of the room in the past 6 or 7 years. I pre-sell everything. I'm doing a conference in April in Billings, Montana. There's going to be a small audience of 800 people. And I got the association not only to pay my fee, but to buy 1,000 books, not 800, from John Wiley. And again, I've written 31 books, 21 languages, 4 graduate textbooks, 4 real bestsellers. I could share with you on another time how you can get your books picked up by a major trade house on first presentation, not 9,000 attempts. My last 11 books have been picked up on first presentation with major trade houses. So again, it's about the 5 words I just gave you here. You have to learn how to sell to a publisher. You have to learn how to sell to an association. You have to learn how to sell to your client. So I've given you, in essence, a template at the top, and I've given you 3 different examples of how I'm doing it. I'll get more specific as we go on. So I'm checking the clock to see where we are. I get to go until, 10:30 your time is our break. Is that right? So I've got 7:30 mine, which means I have exactly about 1 hour until we shut up. So we're right on track. 100% of 100%. Circle that one. Think of an Excel spreadsheet real quickly, guys. And when I say guys, I mean gender, both sides. So ladies, please don't be offended. Hit pause. I'm very politically incorrect. I actually don't care if you don't like that. Hit pause. I'm not rude or disrespectful. You have to know your brand and be you. You can't be disingenuous or you're never going to get hired twice. You may get hired once. Back at the videotape, I've been talking about stop thinking one-time mentality engagement. You need to start thinking plural, start thinking bigger. Yesterday, I was talking with a lady that was in one of my sales programs. I did a 2-day sales boot camp right here in Las Vegas. And she was talking about, I've heard about building these funnels concepts where you start with a, free giveaway or something easy. And then you keep building up and selling more and selling more and selling more until you get your big ticket item. I said, absolutely fantastic. Outside of, Russell Brunson, who talks about sales funnels and tracks, and he makes $1 bazillion. I've never known anyone that uses sales funnels in our industry that's ever been successful. So here's my suggestion. Do that, But while you're doing that, I'm in essence going to be the one winning every day. I'm not going to look at selling a small ticket item. I'm looking to sell a big ticket item. Now, what would contradict my last statement is if you're in a B2C space, then maybe you do look at a little ticket, but we're not in a B2C, we're in a B2B. We sell to businesses, organizations, associations is typically what most everyone in NSA sells to. So quit thinking little ticket. I don't want to sell a $10,000 training day. And I'm just going to use 10,000 as a point of reference. You can call it a 5,000. You can call it a 3,000. I don't care. I don't want to sell a $10,000 training day when I can sell a $120,000 year long contract. I'd rather know every month I have an invoice going out. And again, you should never take checks. You should go get with your bank. You should check with Square, check with Squirrel, check with whoever. Take credit cards. Even my government clients use their credit card to pay their $25,000 invoices that I send out to them. So everyone has a credit card, or have direct deposit. You can have that set up and just put the money right in your account. You should not be playing the check game. And here's why. After 9/11, Coca-Cola, Southwest Airlines, Anheuser-Busch, Pfizer Pharmaceutical, major companies, those are my clients. They've all got money. At 9/11, every one of them were going out to 90 to 120-day terms to pay their bills because they could financially and legally. Everyone was protecting their cash. And most you and I can't subsidize our work for 4 or 5 months at a time. So again, get smarter with how you do your money management. I'm going to be ADDing all over the place because that's important for our business. So those elements. So here's what 100% of 100% says. If you think of an Excel spreadsheet, then across the top of that Excel spreadsheet, you would put all of your deliverables. So all of your deliverables will go in the cells across the top of your Excel spreadsheet. So whether that's a talk, you have different types of talks, or whether it's a program, different types of programs, online deliverables, et cetera, et cetera. Then vertically, pay attention. Vertically, the first names you're going to put going down the vertical column are only your active clients. So write down active clients. And if you have none, that's okay. I'll help you out. If you have some. So the first ones that go down the vertical side of the Excel spreadsheet are your active clients. When you've ran out of that, then you put all of your inactive clients. So someone that maybe buys you once a year and they haven't contracted with you for this year or next. So you first start with your active clients. Then the second category are your inactive clients. Your third category are going to be your past clients. Past and inactive are not the same. One more time. Inactive are the clients that have not bought you right now, but you know they're going to buy you. So we'll just kind of go with that assumption. But, they always do this each year, and it's just, we're just not in the loop for them to say, okay, yeah, let's do it. So then your past clients are ones that have bought you in the past, and they're not in the first two categories. So the first names you're going to put down the vertical are going to be active, inactive, and past. Draw a line underneath the word past. So I'll even help some of us out because that may not be very many names. I don't want anyone to have depression leaving this virtual, Houston meeting today. So you could also add there anyone that you know knows what you do. And they could either be a potential buyer or they know someone that they could recommend you to first person that could be a potential buyer. So then that fourth category can just be anyone that you know knows what you do. So this is not someone you have to go out and have to spend a ton of time getting up to speed with who you are. That's too cold. You want hot, 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 not even warm or cold contact, not even a warm or cold lead. So if you don't really have some people that really know what you do, there's also a clue. You're not spending time letting your colleagues then what you book every one of the people that you know, and in category 4, you should be sending them an inscribed book. That's one way of staying connected with category 4 and raising their brand. If you have a video program or an audio program, or you have a new lesson program that you put up on your learning management system on the internet, that's what you do is you give them a taste. It's like going to the shopping mall 25 years ago, and the pet stores were always in there, and they would love to see if you walk by with a little kid and they'd have you come in and blah, 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 and then the kid falls in love with the pet, and they say, oh, take the puppy home for the weekend. If you don't like it, bring it back on Monday. Hey, and you know what? You're bringing that dog back on Monday. They just made it a sell. Or the little ice cream store that has a little taste of ice cream on Main Street USA, it's giving you a little taste. Well, that's an inducement to bring you in. So you don't want to just give stuff away haphazardly, but be smart. So that's where the line stops for the vertical column. Okay, does everyone have the methodology and not L-grid? So here's what 100% of 100% means. Starting tomorrow morning or starting Monday morning, you start your day. You want to spend 100% of your time with 100% of the people you know. So the first 100%, you can identify that with the word people. The second 100%, you can identify that with the word deliverable. So every day, your first objective in selling then is you want to spend 100% of your time with 100% of the people you know, talking to them about 100% of what you have to offer before you ever worry about prospecting, before finding another person, before you ever get sucked into the NSA shiny syndrome of where we see someone else doing something and we think is cute and we got to go do that. That's the biggest mistake you can make. This is the exact same studio I was using in January that I'm using today. And I'm in January of 2020. See, I'm not killing myself for other things. I've got a light here and I got a light there. And I realized as I started talking, the light that's over there moved a little bit. So if I have my eyes up, you can kind of see it in the glasses. But you know what? I don't care. Because my audience wants content from me. They don't want how pretty I look. Now, if that's angle, change the game. Yeah. At break, I might adjust these lights. Absolutely. Because I know exactly why that's happening. Again, don't get too stressed out. So remember I said I'm chair and I'm going to teach and I'm going to hit pause and dissect. That's a quick example of a dissection. We spend too much time on the dissections and don't have time just doing the work. So those elements. Hey, has anyone ever got a letter from somebody and you kept the letter? Maybe even did anyone ever done something like that or know someone does that? Did you keep the envelope also? Bingo. Sometimes yes, but you don't keep the envelope. So who cares? There's in my glasses, they don't care about that. That's the envelope. What they want's the message inside. See, again, we've got to get back to what really counts as speakers. Your subject matter experts, what's really your lane, and zero in on that. Let it looking pretty in the background, because while they're still trying to figure out how to get paid, you'll be getting paid. So you spend 100% of the time with those key names on the vertical side, talking about 100% of what you have to offer. Because some of your clients, you do some of the deliverables on the top of that list, and some of the deliverables up there you're not doing with some of your customers because they don't know about it. That's another game. You got to go back and make sure they know everything you have to sell and offer. And then that will help you to find the other ones. So enough on that one. So 100% of 100% is absolutely a key point to improve selling. Bottom of the page says wow, circle wow. One of my girlfriends, girl space friends, so it's not politically incorrect. One of my girlfriends is Myra Golden. If you're in a customer service space, you need to LinkedIn and Google Myra Golden, M-Y-R-A. Phenomenal woman. I've known her since before her baby was born, and now her child's in the teenage years. So we go back a long time. She at the time was director of loyalty marketing for Thrifty Dollar Rental Car Corporation when our paths crossed, and I was doing work with her and them. We wrote a book together in 2000. It came out actually, we wrote it in 1999, came out in 2000, called Beyond Wow. Wow stands for wonderfully obvious what. So it's written down right there. What we've got to recognize as a customer, what are the things that vendors, I hate that label, but we know what it means. What are the things that the vendors on the planet do that attract you to them, that in your head you hear yourself go, wow, that was cool. Wow, that was nice. Wow, I can't believe they did that. Because you will typically go out of your way to go back and be a customer to that business. So start taking inventory of anything that wows you and then make that a homework assignment of what's my equivalent? How do I do that? Because the customers that stay with us are the customers that we wow. Thank you for the Kim treats. So if I made that comment at the top, someone should be going, what the hell does that mean? What's a Kim treat? Because again, that's an example of a wow. Now I got to tell you, some of the names of those popcorns you use are not impressive. I'm thinking if I eat this, it may be healthy. That's not going to be good for me. If I eat this, I mean, there's a word there with a flavor I know has to be gross. That won't be good for me. But, you know, the packaging is pretty damn cool. I like that. Okay, let me rip it open. Now that I've got all the ugliness in my head going at warp speed and I've got bitching down to a science, let me try a bite. 2 bags went to bed with me that first night, so not bad. So what do you do to wow people? That's the game plan. Yesterday, I'm at Green Valley Resort and Conference Center. It's one of the casino places here in Las Vegas. So in the afternoon, again, I'm going to do different things with my audience because when I go to a program, I don't just want water and coffee. So you know what? I may spend a little more money. I'm not going to increase my price point, but if I have 20 people in the room because that was my max capacity, they all paid $1,000. I got a little extra money. I can do things. So I had coffee, water, sodas all morning long and afternoon. Coffee, water, sodas all afternoon as well, so in the morning. And in the morning, we had, in essence, a continental breakfast. In the afternoon, we had snacks all day. But it was interesting how they did their snacks up. Each one of these little desserts are individually wrapped. So obviously I grabbed a couple because I need those like a hole in the head. But see, it wowed me. The presentation is different. Are they doing it that way because of COVID? Absolutely. But did they make them look nicer than regular? See, that could have just been in like a little lunch bag sort of thing, basically. But they took that lemon little piece of. So again, what do you do to wow your customers? Oh, guess what? I just did a free commercial for Green Valley Resorts, didn't I? That's your point. You wow your customers. They'll tell other meeting planners. They'll tell other business leaders. They'll tell other people that will come after you. So again, what do we do to wow our customers? If you're not wowing them, then you deserve everything you lose. Bottom of the page is TARP, one more element. So TARP came out during the 1970s as a part of President Nixon's administration. It's connected to the Department of Commerce. It's been spun off as its own entity. But here's what TARP has taught us about sales. TARP has found consistently you can increase profitability 5 times faster. Profitability, folks, not revenue. If you're a speaker and you charge 10 grand, but it takes you $7,000 to deliver it and you only make 2, you're not very profitable. If I charge $5,000 and my costs are $100 and I make $4,900, I'm more profitable than you and you're charging more money. But guess which one's going to have a better life? So profitability was the key word. That's what grabbed my attention from TARP. See, some people don't understand the difference between revenue and profit. So TARP found you can increase profitability 5 times faster through customer service initiatives as opposed to anything you do to find a new customer. So that's why if you look at the 5 categories at the top of the page, 3, 4, and 5 all deal with the customer you have. 1 and 2 is about the one you don't have. So keep in mind, the more you're embedded with your client, the more you're doing things for them, the better you are. One of my clients is an agricultural organization in California. They have about 1,200 employees. I've been doing leadership work with them for the last 3 years. Their CFO, I do coaching calls with all of the top leaders for lots of reasons. One, I want to make sure my ideas are sticking. I want to make sure my ideas are being used. I want to make sure I'm responsive to my clients' ongoing needs that may pop up. Talking with the CFO, and I'm saying, what are some other ways that we can develop this team? See, I didn't say I said, what are other ways we can develop them? She goes, I think one of the things we're missing here is a women-centric leadership development program. I'm going, absolutely, fantastic. Tell you what, let me kind of serve as your dean. See, I don't want her to take that freaking idea and go outside and talk to anybody else. I said, let me kind of serve as a dean. I'm never going to open my mouth. I'll facilitate this. But I know some phenomenal women within NSA that they are masters at leadership and marketing. And given the fact that we have a very high Hispanic population here, one of my friends is with Telemundo. She's a member of NSA. She did business reporting for Telemundo for over 20-some years. She's in business herself. Let me reach out and see if I can get her, in essence, we can design a leadership track for emerging women in leadership and also have a track just for those people that don't really speak English or don't speak English at all. And I've got 2 other ones. Marilyn Sherman, a friend of mine here in Las Vegas, reach out to her. So the 3 of them, with my guidance, I said, here's what my client needs, because I know that. Here's what we've been doing, so I want to be in that area. But what can you do? They gave me the proposal. We put something together. Boom, I get a hold of the guy in Bosnia. We put together a media piece for $100 because I'm not going to send a Word doc proposal to my client. Pay $50 and make it look nice. And that's what we did. Their pictures, their information, their bio, the curriculum, in essence, in terms of the agenda, what we do each month. And I proposed, in essence, a 1-year program track, not a 3-day event. Boom. Dust settles, money in the bank. So again, look at things differently. So if you're connected, that's an example of TARP. By being connected to my customer, I didn't have to go out and find the next one to pitch the idea. I, in essence, could deliver it to my customers internally. So page 9, making sense? Give me some feedback, up or down. Is that helpful? All right, so we've been on here, 50 minutes, 5-0. Actually, Alana, you took in essence 5, so I've been talking 45 minutes. So worth your time so far being here this morning, kind of okay, or if I completely suck? All right, if you're in my workshops, I use suck a lot, but now let me pause and explain it. I'm saying S-U-C, not S-U-C-K. I have a lapel pin. My lapel pin is in the shape of a key because I founded myself as a psychologist many years ago. So now, Mr. Pennington, I'm jumping into your space. I found myself many years ago. See, psychologists, we're actually better than psychiatrists. Psychologists will talk you to death. The psychiatrists will drug you to death. So I'd rather be talked to death than, in essence, go out on drugs. Bad story, bring it back here. So I talk to lots of people, and it's amazing. Everyone wants a quick fix to something. Everyone wants a prescription to something. And I started finding myself talking to them saying, you know what, the real key to your success, so that took me down to creating this. The real key to your success is going to be your mindset, your attitude, who you hang around with, and et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. So first, if we get your brain right, then everything else will fall into place. If you don't believe in yourself as a speaker, because in essence, you had the wind knocked out of you in March, April, and May, we have a lot of speakers that are doubting themselves. I know a lot of speakers, and you probably do too, that have went out and got a JOB in the last year because they got no revenue coming in from speaking. You should never have to give up on yourself because, again, if you don't have an abundance mentality, see where the opportunities are, then you're going to miss them. But it's not your fault because most of us have not been taught to see things from an optimistic standpoint. If you have an optimistic abundance mindset and don't get caught up in all of this stupid crap conversations on the planet, you'll be incredibly successful. Everyone else is getting sucked into these traps. Do we have racism? Yes, I'll go there. Did we have racism 100 years ago? Yes. Did we have racism 1,000 years ago? Yes. We're going to have racism 100 years from now? Yes. Do we need to find ways to address it? Yes. Should that be the number one thing we're talking about all day long? Not me. Maybe you. Do we have sexism? I got some ladies on the line. Do we have sexual discrimination today? Yes. Did we have it 100 years ago? Yes. Did we have it 1,000 years ago? Yes. Are we going to have it 100 years from now? Yes. I'm not going to talk about it. Not my business. I'm using those two extremes because we're not supposed to talk about politics and religion and gender and et cetera programs, but I'm going there because we're peers and colleagues. I'm trying to shock our mind to get focused. See, if you get sucked in the wrong attitudinal conversations, you're going to not only potentially turn people off that'll never tell you you've offended them, you're also going to miss tons of opportunities. Now, if the two lanes I just talked about are your lanes, then get focused. But people don't really want to talk about the problem that are going to pay you. Politically, they do, because that's how politicians get reelected. They never solve anything and they bitch about everything. It gets your emotions excited. See, what I have found during COVID is a lot of things that normally would never have been talked about have to be talked about. But what I have found with my clients, they want solutions. Write that down somewhere. Every conversation has to be about a solution. A couple of you deal with change. I love that. And you use some great words in your LinkedIn profiles. I love that, but I would challenge to change something. One of you talk about, in essence, how to create change. I can't remember who it is that owns that word. You're freaking genius. Talking about managing change is wrong. Delete that. How to deal and cope with change. Wrong. Delete that. It's a classic Peter Drucker line. You can't manage and deal with change. You need to be the person who creates it. If you don't like the change that's going on around you, don't decide and figure out how to cope with it. How do you lead it then to where you want it to be? It's the Wayne Gretzky line that we should never use and every speaker knows about. Why are you so successful? Well, I don't skate where everyone else is. Here's your first freaking clue. I skate where the puck's going to show up. Boom, I win. So as speakers, if you're going to use those tried and true stories and metaphors and adages, look in the mirror to what they really mean. Where is your business? Your business should be today where the market's going to be tomorrow. Don't wait until tomorrow to see where the market is and go, holy crap, how do I catch up? And that's what 99% of the speakers in NSA do. They're always running to where they see the market is showing up right now. You should have already been there. Already been there. So start maybe on your LinkedIn profile, be more brash and tell people exactly what their problem is. That's what I do. Your number one problem is human capital. It's the only resource you have in a business, and very few people talk about how to use your human capital. We're worried about budgets and equipment and buildings and et cetera, et cetera. Enough of that stick. Back over to page 9. So that's an example of TARP. TARP is going to tell you which lane to get in. WOW is how you're going to get them to stay with you. 100% of 100% is where your energy should be focused first every day, and those 5 steps at the top is what sales is all about. There's a lot of other ways we can talk about selling that I don't have the time to go to today. Pause. Page 9, good? 10, rocket forward. So 10 says this. There is an organization that publishes a magazine. It seems that we're talking sales. A lot of you are probably familiar with it, and if not, you should be. Every industry has a publication, a trade journal, a magazine, etc. And in the sales world, there's one also called Professional Selling Power Magazine. If you've never heard it, write that down, subscribe to it. Professional Selling Power Magazine. The publisher of that magazine and online portal is Gerhard Gershweiner, and he's owned that magazine for many, many years. It's been around for, I think, about a century, give or take a couple of years. The reason I like Professional Selling Power Magazine is it's the only publication that talks just about selling, no matter who you are. Sales is your industry. So if you read that, then you're always going to be getting kind of some new ideas on strategic selling and tactical selling, which is what selling comes about. And you'll get reminder ideas. So I've been reading it since the late 80s. I've written columns a couple of times. It's been in it. So again, get your name out tons of ways. But here's why it's there. Every couple of years, someone does research on a successful salesperson. They study Karen to figure out why is she rocking it. Or in essence, they look at someone who has a company and business. Okay, so Randy has this huge company and they're very successful. So someone does research either on individuals or businesses that are successful in selling. And they deduce from that there's unique performance indicators of what they're doing, and they write it in an article. And so I probably read articles like this for a year or 2 or 3 or 4, and I wasn't paying attention. But somewhere around maybe the 5th time I read an article like this, it dawned on me, holy crap. I've read something like this before by a different unassociated person, and their answer was basically the same thing. So I started paying more attention. And what I've realized in this magazine is every couple of years, a massive article comes out where someone's done massive research on what it takes to be successful in selling, as if it's never been done before. And it's always basically the same 3 answers. So I live it and I teach it and I use it. But again, that's where you can go to get the data. Here's what you got to look at. If you want to become more successful at selling, number 1 is the word system. System. If you have no system to look at how you manage your business and selling, then you are, put some numbers next to system, put down 20 to 30%. With a system, you are 20 to 30% more successful than you would have otherwise been. Without a system, you're 20 to 30% less effective than you could have been. Kim has a system, we're in the same market space. Michael has a system, he's in the same market space. Magee has no system, then the two of you should be able to be somewhere between 20, 30 or more successful, profitable than Magee, even if Magee's getting up earlier and working harder. Or maybe we're just as successful, but I don't have a system, and the only reason we're more successful is because I'm working earlier, I'm working later, and I'm working on weekends. You shouldn't have to work harder to be successful. You should be able to work hard, yes, and smart at the same time. It's not that old adage of work smart, don't work hard. That's a stupid ass statement, pardon my blunt language. Someone has to shut up and do the work if you're ever going to be successful. True or false? Welcome to the world of being a solo practitioner. That's why no one else wants to be in our job. Again, I love Margaret Thatcher. She had a classic line about socialism. Eventually, you will run out of everyone else's money. See, again, the problem with most employees is they want to do 9,000 things except execute, do the job. So again, how do you help people to execute? That's some of your space right here. You can talk about how to get people to execute more effectively, willingly. Then you're solving a problem, and there's going to be a long list of employers that want to hire you. So again, think about how I share these different story sets. So what they found was system. Number 2 is going to be the word process. Selling is a process. I use the word process in my leadership training and in my sales training, but sales specifically. So again, the great Brian Tracy, the great Zig Ziglar, and on and on and on. People of younger age that are hot on the market right now. Selling comes down to 5 steps. If you teach selling and you teach more than 5 steps, you are full of crap. You need to back up. Our brain, psychology, and now I'm going into Pennington's world again. Psychology tells us conclusively that when you go about acquiring something, buying something, purchasing something, joining something. Hey, one of our colleagues is membership director. A gentleman, is he on with us? You're a membership director. Okay. So again, membership director. A lot of times we ask people to be membership director. Here's how we help them, teach them the 5-step process. So we know in selling, because psychology says there's only 5 steps to selling, that we need to follow the 5 steps. So if you know what you want and you go to a website to get it, if you know what you want and you know the 5 steps of selling, you're actually at step 3. If you're not really sure what it is, but you kind of, you're at step 1. If you know what you want, you know what it is, you just want to go get it, boom, you're ready for step 5. Last week, I went on 3 flower websites to send balloons to my grandfather. Don't even try to figure that out. I'm 57, so this grandfather conversation confuses everyone. It's a whole other story. So I went to send flowers to my grandfather because he doesn't want flowers. He wants balloons. So you go on those FTDs and you go 100 flowers, etc. So I thought, let me go locally to Tulsa, Oklahoma, where he is, and let me find it. What's interesting? I went to 3 websites. Not one of them could I buy. I have no idea how to give them my money. I mean, their cart concept was evidently in a foreign language from Mars or something. I mean, I knew what I wanted, so finding balloons was easy. But then in essence, what type of balloon? That's the 4th step of selling. Do I want pictures or not? That's the 4th step of selling. What emotion do I want to invoke out of him? That's the 4th step. And then trying to buy him, couldn't do it. So I finally went to a 4th website before I could figure out how to buy the. See, again, because the first one wanted me to go through all 5 steps. It's like, no, I don't want to spend time on step 1 and 2. I already freaking know what I want. Where does it say balloons? See, because most websites, you can't get to balloons until after you pick the flowers. And then you get to the cart, and then they want to do this as an add-on. Do you want to add a teddy bear, a candy bar? You want to add, in essence, some balloons? It's like, no, I wanted the balloons by themselves. So look at those elements. So 1 is system, 2 is process, 3. Some of you, this is your shtick, so help me out. Psychology says, I use this in lots of programs, for all the differences we have amongst ourselves, whether it's ethnicity or age or gender or background, etc. The one common variable that all human beings have is that we have 100% control over one thing in the universe. And you can call it by lots of different names, but there's only one thing we control. What is it? You guys, someone crank on a microphone, yell out some answers. What do we control?
Ourselves.
Keep them coming.
Our response.
Keep them coming. Anyone else? Come on. Crank on the microphone.
Mind, yep.
Mind. Thoughts.
Emotions.
Actions. All of those are correct answers. I call it attitude. What you control is your attitude. So the definition I give to attitude is attitudes of voices in your head. We all hear voices. You all would probably acknowledge. You talk to yourself. That's you're hearing voices. Now, if you answer them, we got medication. So don't go too far with this game. But again, the voices, because then we go back and talk about birds of a feather flock together, influences, who are the people in your mind, who are the people that have influenced you from birth to today, what do you read, what do you do, garbage in, garbage out, information. I mean, all of those conversations we can have, which is different parts of what some of you teach. but that's psychology. So how do we grow and develop people? So your mindset and attitude. So the last answer on that page, number 3, is the word attitude. And so attitude is 50%. 50% of what makes us and breaks us in selling is attitudinally based. 10, 20, 30% of what's going to make you and break you is going to be system and process. So again, how do you look at selling? So I would use this in today's workshop, because a lot of times what happens with you and I in selling is that we can get busy in our speaker business doing everything except making a sales call. Everything except making a prospecting call. I don't know about you, but I hate cold calls. So I'm going to teach you today how to never make a cold call again. If you want to tee up some warm calls so you can start getting yourself going, we're going to hit that today. Making sense? Mm-hmm. All right, hit pause. I have roughly 30 minutes before break. I keep calling out the time to hold both of us accountable. Elena, you're my boss.
Okay.
You're the chapter president. Kim hired me. Kim is actually my boss. Mm-hmm. Kim, am I delivering content that's helpful for you and your colleagues at this point?
Yes, you are.
So when you do a full day program, as an example, you have typically 2 or 3 break opportunities during that day. If your client is there, you go find them and make sure you're on track. Because Elena may or may not tell me the truth as a CEO. But if Kim's my client and I suck, Alana's already went over to Kim and said, this guy sucks. So she may not say to me. That's why I go to my client Kim to make sure I'm on track. And if I check in each time I get a chance to spend a day with my client Kim, there's no way next week she can send, talk to me or send me an email saying you didn't meet the expectations, because she's in essence said yes or no 3 times. Absolutely huge. Mike, with all due respect, and Dr. Is it Gwen or Nigwin? Gwen. So again, they're not my client. This is another major element. I'm there to not get smiley face stickers from everyone sitting in my audience. I'm there to move my clients from point A to point whatever Kim said I'm bringing you in for. It took me many years to recognize the audience is not my client. The person that hired me is my client. That was a massive game changer in my business, because I did a program, I won't mention Wyndham Hotel chain in San Antonio, Texas, many years ago. I got 99.9 feedback that this guy can walk on water, feedback from the audience. And they never brought me back again. Eventually, I was able to get the meeting planner, Kim, to share with me what the heck the deal was. And she said, well, here was the problem. You came in, Jeff, and you really did do what I set you up to do. The problem was Alana was not happy at all. See, the CEO was not impressed with the program, because what happened was the CEO thought we were there to talk about one topic, and Kim had me teed up to talk to another. And the CEO and Kim weren't on the same page until the morning, like 2 seconds before I'm walking on the stage. Kim got the update, but I didn't check in with her before I walked on stage to make sure, hey, I'm talking about ABC. Are we still on track? So that's, again, you always need to be connected to the person that brought you in. And if you do that, you may or may not win over the Michaels out there. But wait a second, what's your goal? If I'm in a B2C world, then okay, I don't care about Kim. I'm trying to win over Michael. But if I'm in the B2B business, I want to win over Michael, absolutely. But the person signing my check is my employer. So once you make that mental pivot in your head, thus attitude, and you create systems and processes to make sure you can take care of both Mike, the audience, and Kim, the buyer, then you're going to win more games than you're going to, in essence, tie or lose. And a lot of speakers don't get that one right there. All right, page 9. In the books, page 11. Here we go. This is the most important page for this morning session right there. This is my sales funnel. So let me stop by, give me a kind of a wave of a hand. If you have never heard anything about the sales funnel concept, give me kind of a little hand move. You have no clue what a sales funnel is. Keep your hands up high. Kim and I are counting, so please keep your hands up really high so we can count. There's so many of you out there. We have about 50, 60, 70 people online right now. So just keep those hands up. Oh, no, we have to slide the Zoom screen. We're actually going, oh my God, stay with us. We have 200 people showed up to this meeting. It's like it's a barn burner. It's a record meeting in Houston. Keep your hands up high. So here's what's interesting. We've all heard it. Then why was 2020 not your best year in a decade? Then why was your year not the best year ever? Okay, let me help you out. The sales funnel has been mistaught by 90% of the people in the sales world. This diagram is the one I've been using for years and years and years and years. Someone hijacked it. If you go into the clip art world out there in the internet world, you can find it. About 6 or 7 years ago, I saw it in a Google search for some artwork. And I just leaned back in my chair and go, you got to be freaking kidding me. Someone's stolen my artwork. They got no clue what it means, but at least they hijacked my diagram. So This diagram has a bullseye at the bottom. We don't have time to talk about the rings of the bullseye at the bottom, but on another day we could. Let me give you the skeletal framework of this diagram so you can see what we're doing. So real quickly, architecture, let's do some work. Take the first two bands at the top, the red and the gold, and put a bracket on the left side and right side of that. So put a bracket on the left and right side of the first two bands. The next three color bands in that sales funnel is green, turquoise, and blue. Put a bracket on the left side of that and put a bracket on the right side of that. The purple and everything to the bottom, put a bracket on the left of that and put a bracket on the right side of that. So what we've now bracketed off is we have three sections to the sales funnel. So the first section is going to be the first two color bands. It's like a dotted line underneath that. The second piece is going to be the next three color bands. Put a dotted line under that. And then the third piece is at the bottom. So to the left, it talks about step. Put a number 1 over there to the left of the first two bands. You have a step 1, a step 2, and a step 3. So you got 3 steps on that band. There you go. 1, 2, 3. There's my brackets, and there's the 1, 2, 3. And you can put brackets on the other side if you'd like as well. So most people, when they talk about sales funnel methodology, number 1 to the left is you could write down marketing in that white space to the left, marketing. The first concept about sales funnel, it deals with all the marketing sorts of conversations. How do you identify a lead or your avatar? How do you find them? How do you attract them? Push-pull marketing, A/B tests. I mean, all of that sort of elements, different funnels you test this and that, but it's all about how you get someone to come into your orbit, basically. Number 2, write down selling. The second part of typically a sales conversation around sales funnels or pipelines is all of what you do around the selling. How you engage, how you present, how you sell, how you matriculate, how you grow, et cetera, et cetera. And number 3 is going to be admin. So 1, marketing, 2, selling, 3 is admin. So admin. An example of admin is what we're doing right now. Admin, in essence, is what you do when you go into workshops, or admin is designing your keynote or your training program. Admin is dealing with banking. Admin is dealing with your printing machine's not working right. Admin is, in essence, so it's taking care of the client after the fact, shipping your stuff from point A to point B. I mean, so admin eats up a lot of time on the clock, basically. All right. So at the top, it says LinkedIn. Circle LinkedIn. I'm going to use LinkedIn as just one example of how I use this model. Now, if you don't use LinkedIn, you will when I'm done talking. If you don't, in essence, use LinkedIn, you use another social media platform, that's fine as well. So I've written down, I have it highlighted. Now, underneath of that, just write down leads. So whether we talk about LinkedIn or not doesn't matter. We're going to talk about leads. So in the top of this universe above the funnel, it's all about leads come into our sales funnel. So if a lead comes in at the top, what comes out of the bottom? Someone help me out.
A sale.
A customer. So you're writing lead at the top and pointing an arrow into the top of the funnel. And then the arrow coming out of the bottom of the funnel, write down customer or client right at the bottom. And if you write down customer or client at the bottom of the funnel, put an equal sign on the left side and right side of the word client. On the right side of the word client, you've got an equal sign, draw a blank line. Draw a blank line. The entire purpose of the sales funnel is that blank line. We're going to get to it. Anyone that talks right now about sales funnel and you're not fixating on that blank line and you understand what I'm going to get to, tweak your presentation and you'll make more money. You're talking about sales funnels and you're not talking about that blank line when they get to there, shame on you. Whoever trained you did the bad job. That's why your point of reference is not the real right reference. Once you understand that blank line, you can go back up and you can retool each of those 6 levels and create new products for yourself and your client. So let's get going. So the first band at the top, that red, let's label that with the word ecosystem. Ecosystem, ECO. The first level to the sales funnel conversation is ecosystem. A more popular word in the last decade for ecosystem, it's the same thing as calling it brand or branding. So a lot of people say, your brand. Well, what's your brand? It's what you are. It's what you're about. It's what you deliver. It's what people know you to be. So again, let's play a quick branding game. If I want a Big Mac sandwich, whether that's healthy or not, doesn't matter. If I want a Big Mac sandwich, we probably have all been conditioned and trained. What restaurant am I going to probably be directed to go to? Anybody?
McDonald's.
Or
McDowell's.
Yeah. If I want a Burrito Supreme, what restaurant chain have we probably been conditioned you're going to think of or be told to go to? Taco Bell. If you've ever been to Disneyland or Disney World, yourself or with your family, with your kids, think about it. Before you get to the park, you're not in their ecosystem because there's maybe a Shell gas station and there's a Holiday Inn, there's an office park. But when you start to get closer, all of a sudden they're bringing you into their ecosystem because all of the street names start to be Disney-esque. You look at the shrubbery on the side of the road, it looks like Mickey Mouse's ears. You look at the street signs and they've got that little Mickey Mouse ear design. You pull into the parking lot, which is like, 9,000 miles away from the park. And in essence, you start hearing Disney music. And whether you're taking a tram or a golf cart or whatever, it's not an employee, it's the crew. You get inside the park, everything is the same. You come off the first ride, they drop you into a store, and off of Space Mountain, there's Mickey and Minnie Mouse as an astronaut. And you go on the Pirates of the whatever, and you come off that, and there's Mickey and Minnie as a pirate. And if you got kids, you go, holy crap, stop, I now figure out the game. We're not buying 9,000 Mickey Mouses this trip. Pick one. But they bring you into their ecosystem. So that's what we mean. So for you then, here it is. If I go to your website now, you cannot quickly figure out what you do. Your ecosystem is confusing. Too much noise. Clean it up. I do 3 things. Now, I could take those 3 things completely different direction than you if you do the same 3 things. I play off the word mastery, so that's a part of my ecosystem language or branding. So it's about sales mastery, leadership mastery, and personal mastery. And if you want to know more about sales mastery, boom, you click and it takes you to all of those deliverables. More about leadership mastery, boom, click takes you all the way to those deliverables. So again, the ecosystem needs to be clean and crisp for where you are. If you have clarity of your ecosystem, then the next sequential bands become clearer. Number 2, the second band in that model then is going to be called marketing. So gold is marketing. See, if you have clarity of your product broad category or individual deliverables, then it's going to trigger in your head how you go about marketing that deliverable to the right audience. See, again, if I have competing products that really are in different ecosystems, it's hard for me to market because how do I do that? Here's my point. When I started in this training company, because most of us didn't grow up to do this as a job, we all have evolved here. To me, my training company name was Strategic Success Seminars. Thought that was a great name, Strategic Success Seminars. The first book I wrote was called Power Charged for Life. It was basically a book about how to stay positive, motivated, and energized. That's kind of the route that seems like 80% of every speaker takes. Their first book is about how to stay energized, it seems like. So Brian Tracy early on was someone I had a connection to. So he became a mentor of mine. And one day we're having a conversation. He goes, Jeff, what are you really trying to do with your business? I mean, are you the product? Do you want to be known as the subject matter guy? Or are you creating a training company? And I waffled a little bit, but the more he pushed me, it really came down to it was me. It wasn't I wanted to create a training company. It was me. He goes, so here's the deal. We started this conversation about an hour ago talking about several issues. And one, you're trying to figure out how to get the biggest bang for your buck because you're getting in this industry, you've got no money. And so for that, every $1 bill you don't really have that you want to use to market your book, Power Charged for Life by Jeffrey Magee, says nothing about Strategic Success Seminars by Jeffrey Magee. And that every $1 you have that you really can't spend that you spend to market Strategic Success Seminars says nothing about Jeffrey Magee. What do you want to do? And so we finally got to the point of, one day I want to be the name like, and I started inserting names because he pushed me. Zig Ziglar, Brian Tracy, Stephen Covey, Ken Blanchard. He goes, stop. You've already answered your question. What's Brian Tracy? What's my company name? Brian Tracy International. What's Zig Ziglar's? Zig Ziglar. What's Stephen Covey? Stephen Covey. What's Ken Blanchard? Ken. There's your clue. Then your company is you. It's your name. So again, just kind of think about where you are and what you're trying to do, because that could give you Bob Pike. Who knows Bob Pike? Think about Bob Pike. Same thing when he sold Creative Training Solutions years ago. The way he got the most money was, in essence, they wanted the name Bob Pike also because Bob Pike was the brand. Bob Pike was what was known. Bob Pike, in essence, partnered with ASTD. If you don't know the story, study that one to see how to start making money. He partnered with ASTD because that's where the corporate trainers were that would buy the engagement activities he was designing and selling. And he became so big that he started putting his own 1 or 2 day event before ASTD. Then it got to the point where they said, screw this crap, we'll make you a part of the organization, basically. And now they branded their name and his name together. And so it's like, in essence, everyone's standing in line. It's like Chick-fil-A. You need a chicken sandwich like a hole in the head, but everyone's going to wait for 9,000 hours to get one because you're addicted to it. It's like Starbucks. Starbucks changed the whole world with their ecosystem. Tall. First time I ordered a tall coffee, I expected something big. Tall as midget. Big day. There's big. And no one even asked for a cup of coffee. I mean, they've changed our language. I like a Frappuccino with a backflip and 2 shots of and a cappuccino. I mean, it's like crazy language. But we know what we're talking about. We'll wait in line at Starbucks. Why? Because look at the last 9 pages. Everything I've taught you is exactly what they do. That's why people go out of their way to buy their product. You've got to create a brand ecosystem and be able to share it, convey it, market it to the market space so that people want to come to you. Then you go to number 2. Now we're into selling. So suspect. Put a star on the green band. Everyone skips the green, and that's why they're leaving money on the table. Everyone skips the green. It's why they're missing selling opportunities. The green is the word suspect. I'm going to be speaking in Billings, Montana. I have, in essence, that 800 people in the audience. Some of them I know right out of the gate can never buy Jeff Magee as a B2B. They don't have the money. They're too small of a business or not even in a business. So I'm going to, as I talk, share stories about how I use this with my client. Here's how you can use it. And so I'll plant seeds because I see everyone in the audience as green. I go to a Houston Business Chamber of Commerce meeting. I'm going to show up an hour before the Chamber of Commerce people show up, and I'm going to set one of my business cards in every seat in that room. Because trust me, they're not going to go back through and pick them up. But if I ask ahead of time, if I can put my cards on everyone's seat, what do you think they're going to say? No, you can't do that. I'm just an employee, and I've chosen to be bitter and mean and ugly because I suck for a living. And so I don't want you to put your business card down, because if you do that, you might be successful. And hell, I really don't want anyone to be successful, even though the purpose of this meeting is to tell people to be successful. We all suck. So you can't do that. But thanks for asking. It's amazing. Everyone who's mediocre steps in the way of anyone trying to be successful. I exaggerate for fact, but you get my point. Go back to the word suck one more time. So the game was attitude. If you think of the word success, and you put a bracket around the first three letters, what does it phonetically say? Spell. So I do a whole activity in some of my workshops, and I play that game. So now no one's offended with suck. But again, most of us, 60, 70, 80% of the things that we get attracted to do, 60, 70, 80% of the things that we get tasked to do are things that actually don't play to your wheelhouse and strength, and that's why you suck in those areas. If you can identify the 10, 20, 30% of the things that you truly are masterful of, and you can engineer life where the majority of the time, if not all the time, you only play to the word success, the things you know you're going to be successful at, it's amazing how you can, in essence, accelerate. Superstars in any industry. Use a pro athlete as an example. That's why they're the pro athlete. They have been able to fixate just on that one discipline, and they're more effective than anyone else. That's why they get the huge paycheck. You are a pro athlete if you're a member of NSA, because that's like the NFL. NSA, NFL, NSA, NBA, NSA. So start looking, acting, dressing, and associating with the superstars, or you're going to get cut at the end of the season. COVID was a chance for people to get cut, because reality was the team was carrying them, meaning some people are one-hit wonders. The lady I had lunch with yesterday from the Speakers Bureau, she represented one of the biggest names in our association, who basically has had 0 speaking engagements last year because he has one product, his mouth, that talk. And in the last year, he has realized, holy crap, I need to create a whole lot of other deliverables and a whole lot of other products. That's what he's been doubling down on. But he had a ton of money in the bank to cover him. Some of us may not have a ton of money to cover us if your number one product all of a sudden no longer has anyone wanting to buy it. So again, think like the pro, don't fall in the SUC world, and move forward. So the green is the word suspects. Think of the suspects. So if I'm talking to an audience with 800 people, all 800 are suspects. So what we do is we want to know, hey, Kim, who's going to be in the room? My avatar says that I really connect best with people that have at least 300 employees. Is anyone of the executives in the CEO program? So we're fixating on those, and Kim may give you the 2 or 3 or 4 or 5, but the problem is you ignore all the others, and some of the others might have been in essence bigger need, and they actually might have been able to buy you as well. Because I do have some customers that are not perfect to my avatar. I got one client that only has 55 employees. Most businesses with 55 employees would never think to invest what he invests in me. But I have learned a company that has 300 employees is typically somewhere around 300-400 million. And therefore what they pay when they're senior executives for a year is exactly what they're going to pay me for a year. The difference is I'm only working 1.5 days a month. The other one has to work every day of the month. So again, how do you go after it? I just gave you another clue how you present yourself. To bring me in for a year would be about the same thing as investing in one mid-level executive. You're like hiring one more person in your project management team. The difference is I'm going to be able to work with every one of your project managers, so I help all of them to be more successful, as opposed to you only being able to hire one more person. Imagine I can help all 8 of your project managers right now increase their efficiency by a factor of 1%, 2%, 5%, 12%. What if I could help all of your managers and leaders and mid-level managers and leaders become more effective at, in essence, not only onboarding the next new employee, but retaining them, keeping them, engaging them, developing them, and keeping them all in focus so they're all on a trajectory? What if we could take your retention and make that number from going high, meaning high turnover, to high in terms of keeping them? See, again, get people to think in a number, and then they don't freak out at what sometimes our fees are. So that's another way that I present it. So suspects. So that's green. The turquoise is the word prospect, which is where most of us calibrate. See, most of us, we go in the sales funnel, we go from what we think is marketing, prospect, selling, close the deal. We're skipping some of the bands, and we're skipping a ton of information each of these mean to us in terms of homework assignment. So prospect means at some level they're qualified. Again, we can have a whole conversation. Lois Kramer's a friend of mine. I've hired her in the past to come and work with my company when I was in Oklahoma. I brought her in to work with my team in Minneapolis. I brought her in to work with my team in Montana, where I've had different businesses. She's really good. Well, she has a coding system she uses as to how to qualify your leads. I taught it to her. And it's a great model that she uses because I've been using it for, in essence, 30 years, 20 years, in essence, 10 years, before I met her, so I can prove my statement. So again, but she has a formula also. She's tweaked it, and it doesn't matter. We all have a formula, but if you have a database with your customers, you should be able to go into them right now and be able to do a search. So again, prospect, again, same thing. I want to go into my database. I use 3 codes for my names. Let me give them to you to the side real quickly. So I'm kind of adding speaker training information along with the regular sales program. But if I have 60,681 names in my database right now, you should know the head count of what's in your database if you understand selling. 60,681 names right now. And I have them coded with a number 1, 2, 3, and a 4. So here's what a 1 is. Put a 1, put an equal sign, 2 equal 3 equal 4 equals. My code system. 1 equals, draw a dollar bill sign, write the word need, and write the word opportunity. Anyone in my database with a number 1 next to their name, they have the money to afford me. There's an opportunity for me to do work with them, and in essence, they can use my topic, so there's a need. If they only have 2 of those 3 categories, that's what a number 2 is. And if they only have 1 of those categories, that's what a number 3 is. Now, probably I might flip it if I was starting over today. In a 1, they got 1 of the categories. 2, they have 2 of the categories. 3, they have all 3 of the categories. But the way my FileMaker Pro was originally designed, and that's the one I've used for 25 years because it's the one I've used. Use whatever system you want. I don't care. But there's no way for us to electronically flip what's in there the way it is because there's too many coded notes that I'm the originator of typing some of the stuff in. So we're stuck with it. So if someone's in my database, I put Mr. Pennington in my database today. Well, he's not a 1, 2, or 3, so he's a 4. Friends, families, colleagues, media. Mike's sitting in my audience, and he signs up for my sales e-sign and blog, or he signs up for my leadership audit. He's a 4. So I'm my 4s are there because I also have a drip campaign, so I do things with him because I have legitimately had 4s in my database that I don't even remember Mike's in there. That 5, 6, 7, 8 years later reach out to me to want to buy me to come in and work with them because they've evolved in their career. Now they're a number 1, but we're not reaching out to 4s the way we reach out to 3, 2s, and 1s. So you've got to have lots of touch points. If you're a leadership person, you should be writing a leadership article every week minimum. If you've written a book, unbundle your book, and each chapter can become a blog post. It can become a chapter. If you're on sales, because I'm just going to use leadership sales, that's where I live. If I've written a sales book, I don't have to worry about trying to write sales articles. Take any one of your freaking books and start unbundling it. A book is a podcast. A book is an audio. A book is an article. A book is an e-sign. Reverse it. If you've been writing an article post for last year, that's 52 articles, that's 52 weeks, that's 52 chapters. Take those articles and bring those back up. You have the ability to write a book. So we've got to look at any one item we create from our intellectual property, and we have to look at all of the ways we can repurpose and multi-purpose any one deliverable. So if you follow me on LinkedIn, which if you're not, you should please start doing it. Not that I'm going to sell you anything, but look at what I do and learn from me because I'm following a lot of you and I'm learning from you. But every Monday, I post something around sales mastery. Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, I post around, in essence, self and personal success mastery. On Fridays, it's leadership mastery. So if you look at my posts on Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, it's kind of a motivational sort of inspirational statement. It's a tile. My photo's obviously in every one of them because I'm the brand. So 4 years ago, I started writing down every little ism, every little thought that I had, came up with a massive list. And so for 3 years, I've been posting something new. So I'm on number 47 right now. I just restarted where I was 3 years ago. I don't have to pay for this stuff ever. I'm now done. What I wrote was I wrote these ideas from an evergreen perspective, and I'm getting responses to posts I'm putting up now that I wrote 3 years ago where people are going, oh my God, so timely. This is perfect. You're brilliant. I love this. See, if you think forward focused, your ideas never become time dated. Most of us as speakers, the reason tomorrow's a challenge is we're only thinking about today. The reason we don't help our clients long-term is because you're only addressing their immediate need, not their long-terms. Hey, where do you want to go? Ask the CEO, ask the CFO, ask the training person that. And if you want to start getting more embedded in organizations, the training department and HR is the last people you should ever be talking to. You need to start selling to the CEO and the COO. Who owns the company, that should become your customer. Who in essence doesn't own it, but it's running. If you sell to the top, then everyone in the middle is going to fall in love with you whether they like it or not. Not one of my clients is the training or HR my point of entry. Now, I may work with them, but it's the CEO and the COO, business owner, are every one of my clients. My largest client is a $12 billion organization, and my smallest is that I work with on a regular basis is right at about 200 million. I have a couple that are not at the 100 million level, but those are very, very much one-offs. I've got a new engineering company here in Las Vegas. They've asked me to do my 1-year Leadership Academy of Excellence. Go to my website, guys. Here's another homework assignment. How I help, click on that. Look at the Leadership Academy of Excellence. Look at that. That is my signature product. That is my bread and butter. That is a 1-year relationship. And if I do it right, there's a second year. And if I do it right, there's a third year. And that product right there is right at $180,000 a year when someone buys it. And that doesn't include any additional spin-off opportunities, additional coaching opportunities, or additional workshops. They may say, can you do this? Can you do that? Look at that product. It's what I shared with everyone in Denver at the conference. That's where I changed my model after 9/11, was I realized the amount of work I'm spending to find one speaking engagement could be a whole program. Some of you have a lot of ways you help, whether it's keynotes or whether it is a breakout. Mike Rayburn, good friend of mine, he's a keynoter. But one of the things that he did when we spent time rebranding him, same thing with Marilyn Sherman, how I helped her to rebrand. Marilyn, you've got a phenomenal resume. It's not even on your freaking LinkedIn or on your website. You want to talk about front row. No one's hiring anyone for a keynote on front row right now. But wait a second. You spent many years as a grief counselor in California. That is what anxiety is right now. That's what the grief cycle is all about with COVID. You need to businessize that, bring that front and center, redo a promo video, which she did everything I coached her to do, and now she's back into business. Some of you have phenomenal resumes, but you're not drawing upon them the correct way. So that's what Rayburn did. Rayburn, in essence, went back and did 3 things. One, he now still does his keynotes, but he has a sequence of topics he does. So now the clients hire him not for one, but that one client's hiring him for 10, 15, 20 keynotes. Same business, but now he's changed his approach. And he's created an online presence. If you're following him, you can see he's created an online sort of product that he's launched in the last year as well. So again, if you live just in the keynote space, everything I'm talking about from a training works the same way, just in essence. Tighten it up, string it out. Blue. The blue is where you spend the majority of your time, and that's selling. So that's going to be your presentations, your Zoom calls. It's going to be your repeat calls. It's putting proposals together, working on the contract, tweaking this, tweaking that. So again, a lot of courtships. Little subnote off to the word selling. Keep in mind, there's a lot of statistics out there. When I use stats, guys, I round them off to a whole number because I'm not that smart of a person. I spent 2 years in first grade, so if it's hard, I can't figure it out. So some of you will get these jokes later in the day. So 80-ish% is my number game here. There's research that says it's like 87 point something, but I'm going to make it 80. I use an 80. 80% of most salespeople give up after the 3rd or 4th attempt to try to make a sale. So whatever the activity is that makes up that statement, I don't care for right now. Roughly 80% of us, after about the 3rd or 4th attempt to try to pitch something, call someone, reach someone, follow up on a proposal, we give up basically. What's fascinating is over 80% of all sales are made after the 5th connection, the 5th touch point, the 5th conversation. So don't, in essence, get frustrated, and especially not during COVID. So blue is selling. The purple is administration. It's all the things we do to take care of that customer, and there's a lot of work around that. And sometimes that's when you and I are working early and staying late. The customer never sees what goes on behind the curtain, as they say. Whew. Make sense? All right, Kim, can I have 3 or 4 more minutes before we go to break?
Yes.
And we're still going to do our 15-minute break, but given the fact it's all virtual, you probably don't need 15 minutes to go through the crowd, get through the audience, to get to the bathroom, to then get bushwhacked into a conversation, to come back to the crowd, to then get a cup of coffee, to come back to your desk. But we'll take as long as you want. See, again, look at how you do things differently with virtual. I use that joke line all the time with my clients. You're paying me to come in to share ideas, not take a freaking break. We're adults. You need to go to the bathroom, turn your camera off, go. I don't care. But please come back. Otherwise, it'll kill my self-esteem. So make it fun when you make your comments like what I'm doing. But again, you don't need to be taking long breaks on virtual, because if your virtual is engaging and fun, whatever that means, people don't need tons of breaks. They need the breaks so they can wake back up because you're so boring that you fell asleep. So again, think about how you even engage them. So with that, so now we have this model. A customer falls out the bottom. To the left of the word customer, I want you to draw off 6 X's. Just put 6 X's on the left side of the word customer. Don't read into why is Jeff picking 6. You could put 3, you could put 17, I don't care. So if you have no customers, put 6 X's. If you only have 5 customers, yesterday I had someone in the audience who only had 5 customers. I said, perfect, put 6 X's. I got someone else that said, I got 700 active. Perfect. Put 6 X's. You got 700. That's fine. I wouldn't have said that out loud because then you got more homework when you go home because you have to find a way to analytically do this game. So X's equal customers, what it basically says. So you may want all 6 of those customers. That's perfect. But if you want to become smarter at selling, more strategic at selling, and therefore more profitable at selling, you do not want all 6 of those X's. Arbitrarily, just circle 3 or 4 of those X's, and it doesn't matter which ones. Just circle 3 or 4 of the X's. And then draw a line from any one of those circles, draw a line down, under, and over, and point it to that blank line on the right side of the word customer. So X equals customers. There's 6 of them, and Jeff just said, no, you probably don't want 1 or 2 or 3 of those if you really started thinking about it. And I'll help you to make more money even if we took away 1 or 2 or 3 of those. So what goes in that blank line is what the circle represents, and the buzzword today in selling for that blank line is called avatar, A-V-A-T-A-R, avatar. Some of you and I are old enough that before avatar, it was called prospect or profile customer, or what's a good customer look like, or what's the characteristics of a customer. I mean, we said it a zillion ways over the past 30 years. So let me talk about avatar. If you have one core product you sell, then that circle represents an ideal customer. If I could find more customers like them, this would be even more fun and more profitable. X's, those are high maintenance customers that at the end of the day really are not the best ones for you to connect with. I do not connect with any organization that has a union if that union's first objective is to protect completely worthless, pathetic employees. That always gets a chuckle with the audience and jaw drops. But Southwest Airlines has been a client for 30 years and you're a union shop. If the organization is a union and the union believes in the development of its employees and the union believes in holding their employees also accountable, not just management doing it, then that union and I are going to love each other. Because again, a lot of you, if you're listening, you're Jeff Magee in this sentence. You're about accountability, true or false? You're about being better, true or false? You're about, in essence, getting off your butt and doing something, true or false? You're about bettering your performance. No matter how good you are, you can always become better, true or false? So if you think about that, you're Jeff Magee. A union that's going to be counter to those is not the right place to go because you're going to become frustrated. And now you're going to become just, in essence, the person that's compliance. They just put a check on their list that, hey, we brought in, Dr. Gwen in, and so we did that one. They don't care if she was good or bad. So I'm not about just doing it. I want legacy. My legacy is I get you excited at some level. Maybe we hate each other at other times, but I get you excited at some level where you take action because your legacy is not what you do. Your legacy is the benefactors of what you do, what they then go and do. That's where legacy is. If you're a parent, your child is not your legacy. Misread. That's where Pennington goes all the time. That's why it's so damn successful. Your kids are not your freaking legacy. It's what you do in designing your kids in terms of what they go and do. That action out of them, who they touch and who they make better because they touch them, that's legacy. Your grandkids are how you measure the worth of parenting. And that's a real scary conversation right there. Grandkids are out of control. I hate to tell you, you sucked as a parent. No, I didn't. Yeah, I think you did. See, but no one wants to have that conversation. Well, my employees are out of control. Well, let's, you have some time to work on you first. No, I got to work on them. Well, yeah, we're never going to get there. I mean, you're the problem first. So look at the avatar. So your subnotes under avatar is characteristics, ideal profile, what works best for you. Get clarity of that avatar because when we come back from break, I'm going to give you actions. The rest of our time we come back and come back whenever you want, Kim. All I'm going to give you are activities in that last hour. These are things that you can start doing right now, Monday morning, that's going to help you to do each of these 6 levels of the funnel. Looking at the customers you have at the bottom, how do you bring them and loop them back into the top of the funnel so you can be more successful? So I'm going to give you an accountability activity for number 1, an accountability activity for number 2, and accountability activity for number 3. I'm going to talk about how to use LinkedIn to find customers because before COVID, I used LinkedIn, but I did not understand the power of COVID the way I'm using it now. So I'm going to teach you some LinkedIn ways I'm using it. I'm not a LinkedIn expert, and hopefully if you've ever had a LinkedIn expert speak, I'm going to really blow them out of the freaking universe because I've realized most LinkedIn experts will teach you how to set it up to use it, but not really how to use it. And then the last page we're going to hit is going to be page 12. Page 12, some quick statistics to help you go back and look at things such as quick up and down. How many of you have emails out right now to someone where you're proposing them to buy you, but they haven't responded? Anyone have any emails out like that? Any of you have any let's go website. Think of your website. If you were to go to the first couple of pages that a good avatar profile prospect might come to your website, what are the first couple of pages they go to? If you hit print on those pages in black and white and set those to the side. If you hit print on any of those emails you have out to people in black and white, set those to the side. We're going to talk about how to go back. So again, I spent many years working in the ad agency sort of world. I'm going to share with you something. We charge clients tens of thousands of dollars, that there's 4 ways you look at every word, picture, graphic, headline, and text that triggers calls to action. And I'm going to show you how to go back and look at anything you have out there right now to make sure there's calls to action. This last week, I even went back to my own. Thank you, Rob. I finally, you are one of my 2, with all due respect for everyone else. You have been someone from the sidelines. We've never really met, but I've been following you for years. So I did one right. Thank you, sir. So again, I admire you very much. So with that, I'm going to show you how you get these things to happen. So this last week, I went to LinkedIn and I updated every one of my job entries with a tagline right before each one that's a call to action statement. So whether they click to read all the words, like you and I have tons of words there, but if they don't click to open it up, they don't read it. So I put a call to action to grab them if that's of interest, and they will then read the rest. And I've had increased traffic in my LinkedIn this week because I have a way of monitoring who goes where, which pages they look at. Each click is considered a page in LinkedIn universe. Most people don't realize that. You click to open something, it's like you clicked in a website world and you went to another page. So with that, avatars where we're headed. We'll talk about those elements when we come back. So what I've done in the first hour is I've set some stages with your head with differing ideas. When we come back, we're going to go into application things we can do. Has it been worth our time being here this morning? Yeah. Thank you guys so much for the opportunity. Kim, back to you, and tell me when to come back.
All right. Thank you so much, Jeff. A lot to digest. It's great information. Before we go for our break, about 10 minutes, we're going to do a social media moment. And so Karen is going to do that.
Okay. So everybody go down to reactions, and let's give Jeff some love. And let me try to do this. So let's put a reaction up in our picture. Everybody do that. Here we go. One more. Come on, Michael. Can you put a reaction up there? There we go. Whoops, now mine went away. Hang on, one more time. Okay, guys, thank you. Jeff, I'm loving it. Thank you.
Thank you, Karen.
All right, so it's 10:38. So
I have to go now. I have PT. Bye, everybody.
When you get a chance, come back later and watch the video of the last part.
I will. I just had my knee replacement, Jeff, and I'm here for you.
Thank you. Then don't run to your PT.
I will walk. Bye, guys.
Thanks, Karen. I'll talk to you later. All right, we're going to take a break. It's 10:38. We'll come back at 10:45, 10:50. Whenever you get back, at least by 10:50, be back and we'll get started. Go back to it.
All right, so we're on that page right there. So now what I want to do the rest of our time together here is just talk about implementation. So to the right of the first 2 bands on the top, because you put a bracket on the left and right of the red and the gold, and on the left side we said basically let's label that with marketing. To the left of that second band, the green and turquoise and blue on the left side, you wrote down selling. And to the left of the purple and the bullseye, that's number 3, you wrote down administration. So let's go up to the top of this again. And so the band that's on the right side, the first one, the red and the gold, we want you to write down the following. Write down deploy, D-E-P-L-O-Y, deploy rule 1-52-X. So 152X. So the top of this model, I'm going to teach you a tool. It's called deploy rule 152X. And I went a little bit too slow in our first hour plus, so I'm going to pick up the pace for our last hour. If you have a cell phone, pull it out right now. Seriously. And I do this with my audiences. Open it up. If you have a calendar you use in your phone, bring up your calendar. Bring up next Monday. Visualize for you. I'm not going to look at your phone, so don't worry about trying to impress me. What's the normal time you normally start every Monday? Pull that up in your head. Whatever the normal time is, you normally start on a Monday, go in 2 hours on your calendar on the clock for that day because you pick next Monday. So if you normally start at 8 o'clock, for the sake of example, then you can go to 10 a.m. If you normally start at 6 a.m., I'm normally at my desk here working every day of the week by 6 o'clock. I have never come in later than 6. The first thing I learned when I came to Vegas is that it's Pacific Coast time and no one starts work till 8, which means, based upon Gallup research, 56% of Americans are disengaged, which is code for lazy and worthless. 15% of Americans are disengaged, that's code for completely pathetic. And 29% of Americans work. So if you haven't been using that Gallup research data, it came out about 3 years ago, it's golden in so many of your conversations. So I equate that. Most people that work 8 to 5 for sake of conversation come in at 8, but they're goofing around doing 9,000 things. They really don't start working until 9. And then if their lunch is at noon, then they're starting to shut down mentally at 11, so they're not late to go to lunch. I mean, most Americans only work about an hour and a half in the morning and an hour and a half in the afternoon. So if you think about if I'm working from 6 to 5, I'm getting a whole lot of additional productive hours over the person only working 2 or 3 hours a day. But let's say you work 8 to 5 and I'm starting at 6. I'm getting 2 hours head start every day on you, which means I have the capacity to be at least 20% more profitable and 20% more productive than you. And a good number of my clients are in Central and East Coast time zones. So if I come in at 6, so imagine I've got a client in Michigan, East Coast. They do a once a month leadership meeting, and I sold a virtual version of my Leadership Academy of Excellence, which is 1 day a month for 6 hours. I'd work on the curriculum with them. And then we have online portals and applications the next 30 days and accountability systems, etc. So they, in essence, brought me in. We did live 1 day, 6 hours, but then for the next 10 months, 11 months, we did basically a 2-hour virtual. So I'm taking 6 hours of content and finding a way to pare that down into 2 hours. Well, their meetings are 8:30 in the morning, and I said, not a problem. We can do that. Now, I'm in Vegas. That means I'm going to be starting this at 5:30 my time, 8:30 your time. Not a problem at all. What do you think the CEO said when I made the comment 5:30 for me? What do you think they probably said?
Don't do that.
Exactly. Whoa, that's a little bit early. I said, no, not for you. It's not. That's what we need to do. We're going to get it done. You think that ingratiates me to him and him to me?
Yep.
Exactly. There's a wow factor. First page of notes today. So you've got to go where the client is, unless you're just absolutely filthy rich and you can dictate the terms. I'm not there yet. Then I am, within reason, going to adjust my life to accommodate the client if I believe in my IP and I can help them. So back to your phone. So Monday, pick the hour. Now pick an awkward minute. The real trick is the awkward minute. So don't put 10:15 because you may need to book something on 10:15 in the future and you're going to delete what I'm about to have you do. So if you pick 10 a.m., make it like 10:17, 10:27. So whatever your hour is, make it an awkward minute so the likelihood you're never going to need to double book. Now, there's a repeater right below in your calendar where you now have on that Monday and that time. Adjust the repeater so it repeats every Monday for the rest of your life. Every Monday for the rest of your life. So now, the note that you want to type in at the top, so where you put the name or what it is you're trying to do, here's the note. Deploy rule 152X. I'll teach it to you in a minute. Just deploy 152X. You have it for next Monday. A couple hours into the day, this is going to pop up. So that way it's not the first thing of the day, because if it pops up first thing Monday morning, then I almost guaranteed you're going to veto it every time because you're not focused. Now, here's what it is. Let me teach it to you. I've just taught you a powerful tool, guaranteed that you're always going to be feeding your sales funnel, so you're never not going to have the potential to make a new sale. The problem in sales funnel concepts typically is that the feast and famine mentality. You either have too much going in the top, so you slow down because you have to deal with them in the middle. By the time you get done dealing with everything in the middle to the bottom, now there's nothing new at the top, so it's like cold, hot, cold, hot, cold, hot. You should never do that. We've got a colleague in NSA that's my #1 lead generator. I'm going to try to say this politely so I don't get into trouble again. He's my #1 lead generator because what he teaches doesn't work. But he's great at marketing. He's great at sucking you in to buy him. He'll show you how to get more leads than anyone in the world. The problem is that when he goes in and teaches you how to get massive leads, what he forgets to teach is how to sell, how to follow up, how to stay on top of them. It does me no good to give you 100 leads today if you don't have the capacity to follow up on only 10 and the other 90 you can't follow up on. Making sense? Mm-hmm. So what I go in is the bosses now are frustrated. They spend all this money with this other organization that taught them how to generate massive leads, but they're unable to deal with them. So I help them to understand how to slow it down and deal with them. I mean, it's, again, that's one of the feeders to my companies. I recognize who's my competition that I complement. I don't compete with their topic, but who's my competition that actually I believe in myself. So I'm never going to say anything negative and get in the weeds, but I know they're not doing the job the right way from the client's perspective. See, I did something before break on purpose. They didn't remember Kim is their customer. Miss Hill is the CEO. Mike is the employee. It doesn't do them any good to make Mike fall in love if what happens after they leave, they actually have overwhelmed Mike and he's not able to do the job the right way because now Kim is stressed and the CEO is beside themselves because they spent all this money for this deliverable. Are you guys tracking with me? And that happens in every industry. Take NSA out. Project managers, accountants, lawyers, doctors. A lot of people are good at what they should be doing, but the way they deliver it, they actually do more confusion than good. And that's where you can come back in and that becomes a lead generator for you. Absolutely. It's a branding game. Back to this month. So here's what 152X says. One represents every Monday. Boom. You got that down. How many weeks in a year? Anybody? There you go. You know number 2. X is the moving target. So every Monday, mid-morning, mentally pause. This rings. You don't have time to do it? Don't worry about it. Not relevant next Monday, mentally veto, dismiss the message and go on. But the next Monday, it's going to ding you again. So what the X represents is demographic. X represents a demographic. So next Monday, you think of what's a demographic that I need to get reconnected to? What's a demographic that I want to get connected to? What's a demographic I need to stay connected to? So let's say in your database, you did a search of all of the customers you had in 2019. And you pull that up and it's 38. The next Monday, it's going to be rule 15238 because the demographic identified by specific are clients I had 2 years ago, and you're going to bring them up and you're going to say, okay, I got 38 of them. I'm either going to create a templated email, I blast all of them, or I'm going to send an email. Maybe I have a template and I'll tweak a sentence or two within it. I'm going to send all 38 of those on Monday. Now, the message is always going to have a call to action. We're now into 2021. Wow, what a crazy ride 2020 was for all of us, personally, professionally, or people we know. Boom, that's paragraph 1, done. As you're looking at 21 and 22, and as you and I know, I fixate and focus in on the area of, in essence, customer experience. Now I'm talking about one of your, in essence, brands that one of you represent. As you look at 21 and 22, there's 3 critical items I'm sure you're focusing in on already, and it's an area that I'm working with clients right now to make sure they really accelerate. Boom. So now there's going to be your pitch, basically, is paragraph 2. Paragraph 3, I'm going to be reaching out and giving you a courtesy call this week. I'd love to visit with you and kind of get reconnected. I know we've been talking to each other already. Maybe you got to say that or not. Or get reconnected with you just to talk about how you're looking at 21, 22 in ways that we may be able to supplement, complement, and take some of that stress off your plate and help your team to be more successful. Comma. Oh, by the way, here's my phone number in case you want to reach out and give me a call before I call you. Click, boom, send, done. You send those 38 emails on Monday, and now there's a different level of accountability for you to make 38 outbound phone calls because you've sent an email to 38 people telling them you're going to make the call. True or false?
True.
Guess what? No cold calls ever going to happen again. Now it's a warm call. And guess what? You send out those 38, there's always a statistical chance that at least one of them may call you back. And I don't know about you, but I love when someone calls me and say, hey, talk to me about this message. So now when you call them, I get Rob's voicemail. Boom, no big deal. Hey, Rob, this is Dr. Magee. I'm giving you a quick call. Hey, I bounced you an email this morning. Don't know if you had a chance to read it or not, but I want to follow up with you on an email. Hey, I'll give you a quick call back tomorrow morning. Have an awesome day. Click, boom. Or I get Rob on the phone. Hey, Rob, this is Jeff calling. Hey, I popped you an email this morning. Did you get a chance to read that? I don't even care what Rob says. I'm in the conversation. There's nothing awkward or cold about it. He says, yes, perfect. What are your thoughts? He says, I haven't read it. Perfect. Let me tell you what I sent you. He says, I didn't get it. Perfect. I'll resend it to you, but here's what I sent you. See, I'm already in the conversation. So now I've just removed cold calling from everyone's head. So if you think about it, again, some of us are using virtual assistants in the Philippines or wherever to go in and scrape the data of the universe to find us CEOs in this area, or in essence, meeting planners in this area, or companies of this size, etc. So there's a zillion ways you can determine what your X is. But every Monday, you should either be on social media, email, or direct mail, or somehow sending out some sort of a call to action pulse to the universe to feed people or bring them back into your funnel. Making sense?
Mm-hmm.
Absolutely huge. All right. There's one down. Now let's go to the bottom of the funnel. Go to the very bottom. Number 3 at the bottom. So on the right side where it says applications, you just wrote down, in essence, deploy 152X. The middle is empty. Go to the very bottom. On the very bottom, put a number 5, the @ sign, and the number 5. 5 at 5. Pull up your phone again. Pull up your calendar. Pull up Friday. We're going to book in your phone. Your phone now becomes a portable coach tool that's going to be only you know what's going on, and now it's designed to help you to hold yourself accountable. Imagine I'm doing this with a large sales organization, and I have everyone in the room putting these 2 messages in. What that tells you is, let's say we're in a meeting next Friday, or we're in a meeting next Monday morning at the designated time, let's say, because the company might say we're all going to put it in at 10:17, and you're in the boss's meeting from 10 to 10:30. 10:17, that room blows up with everyone's phone, and everyone can look at each other and go, oh, holy crap, Magee's not even here, and he just zapped us. So again, how do you help to make your message stick when you leave? This is one of the tools I've learned to do. So in your phone Friday, as we did on Monday, now let's reverse it. What typically is the time? Now here's the question. What typically is the time on Fridays where you mentally start to shut down? Not what time on Fridays do you typically stop working, because that's a different number. Fridays, what time do you start? So I love it. So I'm going to role play with Miss Hill. So 2 o'clock. So you're going to come into the day 2 to 3 hours. So now let's take, if yours is at 2, I love this, thank you. So if yours is at 2, that means if we come in 2-ish hours, we're at the noon hour. Let's go to 11. So in your phone, let's make it 11:17 a.m. So now it's going to ping you quickly after 11. So now I'm planting the seed in her head. So if you are going to have lunch with yourself or by yourself or with someone else or buy with them, then I'm planting a seed for you to be thinking about maybe during that lunch hour even. So for you, I'd make it 11 something. So for me, let's say I start to mentally check out, so I'll give it 3 o'clock instead of 2. Then I'm going to make it 1 something, 1:27. So now on Friday at that time, awkward minute, hit the repeating dial so it repeats every Friday for the rest of your life. Type in the number 5, the @ and 5. Review 5 at 5. Review 5 at 5 and hit save. And then let me teach it to you. So in theory, here's what 5 at 5 says, and then we'll tweak it. What 5 at 5 says is every Friday by 5 o'clock, have a separate dedicated list. You can't say, well, I can go in my database and search and get this data. No, no, no. Separate report, separate list. Have it on the whiteboard behind you. Have it on a sheet of paper on your desk in credenza. You know, have it as a separate Word doc in your computer. Part of this trick is a separate work activity here. So by Friday, every Friday by 5 p.m., identify the top 5 people you're working to make your next sale with. Your top 5 customers you're working for the next sale with your customers, or the top 5 prospects you're working to convert them into a customer, however you want to interpret it. So every Friday by 5 o'clock, isolate and have just a standalone list somewhere where you look at what are the top 5 deals I'm now working towards closure. And so if you couldn't do anything over the weekend for sake of conversation, then your job is what can I be thinking about over the weekend? So come Monday morning, those top 5, what's my next high value call to action with each of those 5? Make sense? All right. So when I'm seated at my desk, I have a desk that goes up and down. Some of you may have one of those. So that's part of my studio. And in essence, I have a chair that I bought from Steelcase. So I went and I spent $2,000 on my chair from Steelcase. You should be sitting in something that's crappy, especially during COVID. You're living at your desk. Well, if you work for a Fortune 500 company, they all use Steelcase or something of that level. Hammock or Slimmer, something of that level. So I said, you know what? I'm going to be stupid and I'm going to order one of those chairs because everything went on sale during COVID. Of course, it took 8 months for the chair to show up. But see, I want to think just like my clients. I'm not going to have a crappy bar stool. So if I'm seated in my chair, I can rotate and move to get something. But I need to step off screen for a second because I'm going to grab something I can't reach while I'm standing, but I can when I'm in my chair. So I'll be right back with you. So I have this in my phone, but my phone's off to the side, and I have this in a print format. So in my office, I have my 5 at 5, but now here's how you tweak it. Put some subnotes wherever you put 5 at 5. You should have a 5 at 5 list for every major deliverable you sell. And you should have a 5 at 5 for any specific market segmentations that you want to live within. If you want to have a full calendar, you want to make sure you're working to keep a full calendar. If you want to make sure your clients are keeping you busy, which makes you more relevant every time you go out, because if you're working with active clients, every time your mouth opens, they're pushing you for sometimes different interpretations of what we say, which causes our brain to work bigger, which that's how we bring more value to our customers. True or false? So my 5 at 5. So here's my 5 at 5. So my 5 at 5 on a sheet, I have it by my top 2 deliverables. PDS is my sales products and LAE is my leadership product. Now notice that on PDS, how many, someone give me a hand signal. How many people am I working there? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Am I working more than 5?
Yeah.
And then there's my Leadership Academy of Excellence. That's my 6-figure product. That's my Cadillac. All I need are 3 Leadership Academy of Excellence clients. That means I'm working 6 days a month because basically it's 1 day live and a half a day of coaching. Take travel out of the conversation. If I have 3 of those, I have all the income I need to pay every one of my minimum bills I have to have, all of my extra bills I create, and feed all of my investment vehicles that I need. 3. I have 7 LAE clients right now. During COVID, I doubled my book portfolio. My company doubled in the last year. I have 1 client, not only did he buy 1 LAE, but during the conversation, he ended up buying 2. You know what? We've got 60 people, and the more we're talking about this, Jeff, see, if you shut up, your customers, they'll tell you they got a whole lot more money than you ever realized. He said, you know, we have 60 key leaders here in Wisconsin we're bringing you in for, and we're going to do this at the convention center downtown. We have a great new little meeting space there. This COVID issue is kind of a challenge. This is a conversation we're having in April, May, June, July. So I found him during COVID, sold him during COVID, and he doubled up on me. I didn't have to double. He said some of the people, in essence, they're working virtually, and so they kind of went to other parts of the country. I said, not a problem. I can add on a third day free. I can add on a day free, and we can do the virtual version. See, I was just trying to make sure I nailed down the one product and not give him a reason to cancel. The reason to cancel was there was 5 people who were not going to be here. And I said, no big deal. I can do them as a virtual, and then we have great success on the virtual one. So I took the objection off the table. Then he was looking and said, you know what? I think the more I'm looking at it, I want to isolate the group of 60 into 2 groups of 30, basically. So let's send me, a quote on what it would be to do 2 of these instead of 1. And I said right then, I'm already giving you a damn good deal on the 1, and I am, so we'll just make it double the price. He said, okay, not a problem. Let's just do 2 of these. So take 180 times 2, and I'm not boasting, folks. People will pay you significantly more than what you realize. The biggest problem we have in NSA is we all undervalue ourselves. And the reason we undervalue ourselves is because some people are making a lot more money than us, and we think, in essence, we can never be them. There are training companies that charge a lot more than me, but I'm not them. I'm not McKinsey & Company that does a leadership track, and they charge millions of dollars for what they do. But you know what? Every time I find out who used to use McKinsey, that's a new lead for me to go after because I know exactly part of their problem. The problem with McKinsey's training programs is you and I. Look at yourself on the screen. McKinsey's training deliverables are not delivered by people of your and my tenure. They're delivered by someone that just graduated from an Ivy League college and has never done anything in their life. They're supposed to be being coached by people of your and my stature who don't show up because they're too good to do it. Okay, is that 100% correct? No, but it's good enough for my story. So again, keep in mind, look at the people you're competing against. Sometimes you may not be able to get those numbers, but you can get a lot more than you are. So I need 3, I have 6, and that's just one of my elements. So then I have categories. Look at the categories. So one of my categories, I do a lot of work with the National Guard. I work with Adjutant General, so I've got that one. The Texas National Guard is my client. I work with your Adjutant General. She's a freaking rock star. Texas is number 5 in the nation. The top 5 states in the nation all were my clients last year, and guess what? Only 5 states made their manpower recruitment numbers and retention numbers last year. You think I'm using that in some marketing campaigns right now? Huge. Number 1's Connecticut. That general freaking loves me. He called me up a couple months ago, said, we're having a virtual Adjutant Generals meeting because we can't come together live. Can you send me, in essence, 100 of your trajectory code books? I want to personally give them to everyone in the room. Whoa, you can't ask for something better. He's going to give one to every one of the bosses. Those are CEOs. I don't have to worry about calling anyone to buy me. I'm going right to the top. So think about, how do you leverage these people? I'm sorry, I'm not big in NSA. I don't get involved that much, so maybe you've never heard of me. Back to this list. So look at the columns. So I have a 5 at 5 times each core product and a 5 at 5 for each key area. And now you'll be able to look and see, you know what? I say I'm big in real estate. I'm not. This could be you. And if I look at this, I only have 2 deals I'm working. Or maybe I'm big in civil engineering companies, and I got 7 there, but I got 3 other categories that Magee said I had to create, and I got none in others. See, the other problem in selling is we don't focus on the whole piece. We get distracted on one little piece. 9/11, a lot of our colleagues were big in the car industry. They all went belly up. A lot were motivational speakers. They went belly up. A lot were big in tech. They went belly up. A lot of speakers niche by industry, and that's fine unless something happens in the economy, and then you're in deep trouble. What I didn't realize I was doing at 9/11 that Marjorie Brody helped me to understand was I had a diverse portfolio because I focused on 2 topics, sales and leadership. From my unique perspective, I can tie the 2 together. So anyone that's still open for business probably could benefit from leadership and or sales. True or false? So again, look at what you do. You can go the other direction if you want. So those are 2 key models of how we can connect with people. Making sense? All right. In the middle now, we have these people we're trying to stay connected with. So let me give you an application activity in the middle of this model on the right side. So here I want you to write down, we're done with your phone, so you're not going to put this one in your phone. So in the middle, write down, use follow-up rule, and then just put a sequence of numbers, 1-2-3-4-5-X. So the follow-up rule uses the number sequence of 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So I'm going to put 1-2-3-4-5- and then an X. Remember, the research says most salespeople give up after about the third, fourth-ish attempt to reach someone. They think, oh, they're not interested. Most sales are made after the fifth connection or fifth outreach. Here's a way you hold yourself accountable. Sometimes you get a hot lead and you blast. It's almost like you're stalking them. And then you do a ton to try to reach them for 2 or 3, 4, 5 days. They don't return a phone call. You got busy on something else. So while you're busy on something else, maybe that falls through the cracks. And now 6 months go by before you remember, oh, I was working that hot lead. We all have these different sort of scenarios in our head if you think about it. Or we've tried to get a hold of someone. Here's the last pitch before I teach the technique. We have someone that said they were interested. You're working hard to get a hold of them. They never return a phone call. So now you let the wrong voice kick in your head and say, wow, I thought they're a hot lead, but they're not returning any of my emails or phone calls. So they must not be interested, or they went with someone else, or they don't like me. And so you quit following up on them. And then sometime in the future, your phone rings, they call you back and they go, Miss Hill, I am so sorry. I was out of the country. I stubbed my toe. My mom was sick. My dog died. They got a reason. And you know what? We need to use you. Let's talk about your program. Anyone ever had one of those experiences? That's why rule 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 is so important. It's an accountability tool. So here's how it works. So let's play the numbers. The numbers represent days. So today is Friday. If I gave each of you a hot lead right now, all of us would try to find a way to reach that lead in the next 24 hours. True or false? Okay, there's your numbers. So number 1 represents 24 hours. Now notice if we had a calendar in front of us, what this does. This gives you consistency, longevity, and professionalism. You're no longer stalking anybody. So if I gave you a hot lead today, Friday, today you're going to try to reach them. Now we're going to take weekends out of this conversation. If you don't get a hold of them today, you push them 2 days forward on your call system. So that makes it Monday, Tuesday of next week. Next Tuesday, you try to get a hold of them. You can't. You push them 3 days forward. So that's going to make it what? Wednesday, Thursday, Friday of next week. You don't get a hold of them on Friday. Now you push them 4 days forward. So that makes it Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday the following week. You don't get a hold of them. You push them 5 days. That's going to make it what? Friday, Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday of the next week. So between number 1 and number 5 always adds up to a 3-week outreach campaign. And you're not blitzing the heck out of anyone because you're putting a little bit of time in between each of those touch points. At 5, I can't get a hold of Miss Hill. I have no quantifiable data. She's no longer a hot lead. All I have at number 1 was she's a hot lead. So don't allow yourself to talk yourself out of the fact she's still a hot lead. So X simply represents whatever the date rotation you want to put them back into. So X might be you put them in your 10-day tickler. Of course, all the old people understand the word tickler. Anyone who's young has no idea. So you put them into your Rolodex. Oh, I guess that outdated me as well. Put them into your CRM. So push them out maybe 10 days or 30 days. Or your X could be you loop them back into number 1 and start them back over. I have literally had people in the audience go, holy crap, what a great idea. They went home and they went back to people that they thought fell through the cracks, reconnected them into this 1, 2, 3, 4 outreach. And right around number 3 and 4, they came to life, reconnected, and they had appointments set up to go talk to them. And I have phenomenal testimony after testimony after testimony about that. So that's why I know this tool still works. Makes sense? All right, everyone crack open your microphones. Here's the real drill of better selling. I want us to create a list of touch points. So if I gave you a hot lead, no brainstorming's allowed. Write down. If I gave you a hot lead, what are the way, singular or plural, you would attempt to reach that person right now? Only write down your real answers. That way I can help you to learn to move forward. Don't write down anything you could do, should do, only real answers. If I gave you a hot lead right now, what is your normal protocol about how you'd go out to reach them? Write down that answer, and if there's more than one, write that down. No one's probably going to have more than 3-ish answers. All right, so I've got email written down. Thank you. That's one. Or you can say them out loud or you can write them down. So I've got email. How many of your hands up would send them an email? Okay, perfect. If you didn't write down email, add that to your list. Now you've identified another touch point. What's another way you try to reach that hot lead?
LinkedIn.
LinkedIn. Write down LinkedIn. Rob.
Well, since you're giving the referral, I'd ask you to give me an email that you send to them and to me to introduce us. That's the best.
I love it. Write that one down. The person to introduce you, ask them to connect you. Ask them to set up a 3-way Zoom call. Ask them, hey, can you get a hold of, in essence, Kim and set up a coffee date? You know, I love Starbucks. I don't know if she does or not. So ask them to coordinate. Absolutely love it. That goes on the list. If you're calling people today on the phone, what typically is the phone that they have you call them on?
Cell phone.
Cell phone. It's absolutely appropriate business etiquette at our level. You're the expert. You're the guru. You're the Zig Ziglar, Tony Robbins in this story. You're the Lisa Nichols in this story. So there's nothing wrong with you sending them a text. I would. If I needed to get a hold of Mr. Pennington, Dr. Pennington, I would do that. In essence, I'd call. If I left him a voicemail, I'd send a text, Dr. Pennington, dash. This is Dr. Jeffrey Magee. Your name was given to me by Randy. She encouraged me to reach out to you. I've left you a voicemail. I'd love to get a couple minutes to talk to you. If you can bounce back a text of a convenient time to talk this week, I'd love it. Boom. Put a dash, Dr. Jeffrey Magee, and hit send. I have never had anyone get mad with me doing it. So if that's a problem for you, that's fine. Reconcile it. While you're trying to get over it, I'm going to steal 5 cells away from you then. So again, how do you reach them? So phone, text, voicemail, social media, ask the person who gave you to introduce you, go knock on their door. The point I want you to get at, folks, is that if any 1 or 2 touch points you're using to get a hold of them is not working, back up and recognize, could you use a different one? Michael, you're sitting in a meeting. I call your phone wiggles. You're probably not going to take the phone call. You're in a meeting. You don't recognize the name or number. You're going to let it go to voicemail. But let me ask all of you, you're Michael. Have you ever been in a meeting where you got a text from someone and you answer the text back while you're sitting in a meeting? Absolutely. I have no problem with that. I don't view that as being rude. That's normal business protocol and etiquette. We're all freaking busy. Sending a text, receiving one while you're in a meeting doesn't bother me as long as it doesn't become, in essence, your dominant focus. Go out of the room and deal with it. So again, that's the element. Again, text is huge. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5X, that's the protocol of date sequencing, but look under at your touch points. And the reason sometimes you're not doing as much business is you're only leaving voicemails, let's say, to people that if you would have sent them a text, it would have worked. Or you're right, Miss Hill, or whoever said social media, going to the LinkedIn and sending them a message. This morning, I sent a couple of you some updates and messages, and several of you have already responded back. Again, how to use this thing. So again, Rob, thank you. You sent me a message on LinkedIn while you're sitting in my program. So again, people do double tasking. I love it. Am I offended? No. So again, absolutely. You guys, ace page 11. Make sense? All right, top of the page says leads. Let me talk about LinkedIn very quickly. This is not a LinkedIn commercial. This is not a LinkedIn I'm making any money. Hell, I should be as much as I talk about LinkedIn. Let me share with you how I've used LinkedIn in the last 12 months that I wish I had been doing for the past decade. Here are my sequence. And every time I say step, 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 if you're doing it, check it off, but go back and see if you can tweak it. This last week, I went back and tweaked something that I would have otherwise had a check mark beside saying, hey, I'm golden. I have paid 3 different LinkedIn experts to help me to update and make my profile look better because I know I need to invest in people just like we want them to invest in us. The last one was the only one that was really like, holy crap, he rocked my universe. So any of these steps you do, keep tracking and see where you stop, and then that's why you're not getting the traction you could. The first several steps are not what's working. The first steps are what you have to do for it to work. So step number 1, profile. You have a small business store in small town, Texas, Main Street, USA. You're going to recognize if I'm new, I need to spend some time to make my storefront attractive. Because if someone drives by or walks by, my storefront isn't attractive, they're never going to come in and give me a chance to engage them. And a lot of people's first couple of screens within LinkedIn, they don't realize each horizontal slider is a page is how you want to start to look at them. Because each one you can click to update and edit. If there's a little pencil icon, that's its own page basically. So number 1, you want a great picture of you. Don't have stupid ones. One of your colleagues has a gorgeous haircut right now. She looks like she's somewhere around, I'm going to guess, Jill is probably about 35, 36 years of age. Is that about right?
Jill popped off. She had something.
She's not 35, is she? Anyone want to help me out on this story? Is she more than 30?
Yes.
Yeah. Bad photo. Her new LinkedIn photo, good photo. So you want to have a photo that represents who you are, but you want to have one that makes you look as good as you can. In your little circular bubble, that's your picture. That's your press one. That's what's in your media guide. If you in essence have been working with someone, Richard Branson, and you really do things together, hell, you might even think about having you and him and Alan. But no, there's a billboard right behind your little circle picture. That is massive real estate. I cannot tell you, and all of you guys that are on the board, A+, I looked at all your profiles, but I cannot tell you the number of speakers, business people, executives, that real estate behind their circular headshot's blank. It's the template of one LinkedIn gives them, or it's stupid. So again, you've got to make it powerful. ServiceWire is one of my clients. They have a huge facility there in Houston. Matter of fact, They're building a brand new facility out by the Woodlands, excuse me. And so again, behind most all of those, they have pictures of their wire and their name Service Wire, because that's their product. It's what they do. Overwhelm people with the totality and massiveness of what you're dealing with, people that click to look at you versus the stupid things you had before. Then you have a little piece about you. So here, I'm not going to go through the whole page, but the point about profile is this. Stop and make sure that every piece of your profile that you have in the admin toolbar is answered. Don't undersell yourself. If you, in essence, were in the military for 20 years, you better have all of that there, every job, and underneath of it have some narration. What's most important in your profile is the narrative. You undersell yourself when you just list the company you work for and the title you have. That means nothing. I have met a lot of worthless executives out there, in case you haven't. So if that's all you have is your title, are you great or are you worthless? I don't know. Underneath of it, you want to put some narration of what you did, what you accomplished, what you're responsible for, so it brings you to life, because people are buying us, and that becomes your resume if you think about it. Any education you have, I don't care if you graduated from college, you're Nancy Pelosi, you got your bachelor's degree in the 1950s before most everyone that's alive in America was born. You list that. Do you have a master's degree? List that. Do you have a PhD? List that. If you didn't go to college, no big deal. Under certifications, hello, think of some of you have massive certifications. Ed Robinson's a CPA. He still has that listed, even though he's not active in that space. Because if you think of CPA, do you think of someone legitimate or not legitimate? See where we're going? So you want all those things. Volunteer. So also part of the algorithm of how LinkedIn works is what's in your profile. If you do searches for someone, if they have similar things in their profile, you can find them. People don't realize that. So you actually want to be boastful. Not braggadocious, but you need to be boastful in your LinkedIn profile. Look at mine as a template, as an example. And yours could be a lot better than mine. I'm not saying mine's great, but I paid someone a ton of money to get to where mine is. Now, mine works. Now, pause, huge pause. Back up mentally in your head. The word was avatar at the bottom of the previous page. You design your LinkedIn around the avatars you want. Do not design your LinkedIn for your freaking family. I don't care if they say they don't like it. I don't care about your friends. Are your friends going to buy you to come and do a leadership program once a month for the next year and they're going to guarantee you a paycheck every month? No. Then who gives a crap what they're saying? That's the other problem we do with small business people is we get advice from the wrong people. See, I did a ton of research a couple years ago because I'm at NSA getting overwhelmed. You need to do Facebook ads, LinkedIn, Instagram, Pinterest, Twitter. And it's like, holy crap. I mean, if I do all this stuff, I'm never going to have time to do my job. And I said, wait a second. And I went and I looked at all of my top customers. I want to work with them, more with them, and more customers like them. What I found was a huge epiphany. They're only on one platform, only one, and it's LinkedIn. So that gave you the clue, which is going to be something. So once your profile is ready, now here's how you start using LinkedIn. So the first note is profile. The second is connect-follow. Let me give you some notes on connect-follow. You want to start growing your business? Here's how you do it. So the first thing you want to do is you want to connect, and if there's not a reason to do this or you shouldn't do this, then at least follow. Every one of your buyers, every one of the human being clients you have, you should see if they're on LinkedIn, and you should be connected to them and click follow. Don't just connect and follow. And the reason you want to follow them, if I'm following Rob, every time he posts something on LinkedIn, when I sign back into LinkedIn on the navigational bar at the top where it says notifications, every time Rob posts something, when I sign back in LinkedIn, under notifications, there's a number that's up there that tells me anyone I'm following, they posted. So when I have time, so I'm not a hostage to it, I click on notifications and it brings up that drop down screen of anyone I'm following, whatever they posted. And maybe Rob posts, in essence, he's a picture of him working with a huge customer, doing the things that Rob does, and Rob and I don't compete. And I look at this post and I'm going, holy crap, Rob's talking about something he just did with a business, primarily the CEO, picture the two of them together. And this business looks exactly like someone I could help them to be even more effective with my leadership program. Boom, there's a lead. I'm going to go click and talk to Rob. Don't worry about the click. I'll come back to that in a second. So you want to follow. Second, so first is you want to connect and follow every live human being. So people in your industry, people that are customers. You also want to follow every business of every customer you have. So if Susan Jones is the COO of a major agricultural client that I have, I want to type in the search bar on LinkedIn, Susan Jones's company, to see if their company has a profile, because almost every major company actually has its own standalone LinkedIn profile. And if they're a company of any size, they've got a marketing team. The marketing team, actually, one of their tasks, duties, and responsibilities as their job is to continuously update their LinkedIn page. So it's freaking brilliant. Now I follow the client, and anytime they post something, something, that pops up. So I know when someone's celebrating, when they've bought more buildings or property, when they've hired someone, when they've done something in the community. And I can send messages back to Mike, the CEO, saying, hey, I saw the post on LinkedIn with what you guys are doing with the food bank. Absolutely phenomenal. I love working with you guys. Great job. Or I can see them post up and say, hey, you need to have your recruiter use the post that was just up there. That post the recruiter needs to send out to X, Y, and Z, so I can help them to see how to use their own posts even more effective. So you want to follow every one of your clients. Number 2 so 1 was people, 2 was businesses. 3, every prospect, business, or association you want to do business with in the future, you need to be following, because now you'll know every single thing they're doing. Border States is a huge, in essence, $1.23 billion electrical distribution company based in Bismarck, North Dakota, and they've got businesses by their name and other names all over this country. During COVID, because I follow them, I didn't have to worry about what they were doing because I probably wasn't even thinking of their name on this day. Boom, I turn on LinkedIn, there's the post update from the company. Brand new CEO has just been hired and brought in from North Carolina because, in essence, their business in North Carolina they bought, and so boom, away they went. And then a couple days later, another post, new president. I look at, in essence, who those people are. I see now. Stop. Everyone tracking everything I've just said. That's how you start using LinkedIn more effectively to get market intelligence, competitive intelligence, and clients intelligence. Now, here's how you use it to get business. I'm going to use Border States. I started this story. Let me continue. So because I'm following Border States, a prospect, new CEO comes in, Rob Pennington. The post, in essence, that Kim puts up because she's the marketing person is, Rob, in essence, Pennington's joined Border States as the new CEO, coming to us from North Carolina. And then underneath of it, everyone jumps on, congratulations, good job, good news. You see all the people that post it. And one of the people that put a post is the CEO of one of my client companies. And so Lewis says, hey, Rob, great to see the transition. Didn't realize you're moving to North Dakota. Absolutely great deal. We do a ton of business, blah, 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 blah. Boom. So the next word you want to write down is look, like, link. Look, like, link. This is where most people don't go to the next step. This is selling on LinkedIn. So I think this is a 10-second sales funnel activity I just taught you because I've done all the work. Turn on my computer this morning. Notifications. Boom, drop down screen, Border States, click on it. What did they post? Because I'm following them. In essence, announcing Rob Pennington, new president, Border States Electric. Boom, right below it. People that are putting their little, like notes on it. Good job, congratulations. Lewis. I know who Lewis is. Lewis says, great job, fantastic. Loved working with you in Carolinas. We do a ton of work with Border States. That comment that he's saying in his way is market intelligence to me. I know Lewis, he's a customer. I click on Lewis. Now I'm in his LinkedIn profile. I send him a quick message. Lewis, I saw that in essence you put a notation on Rob Pennington, new CEO of Border States. Great job. You guys are golfing buddies. You do tons of work together. Hey, the leadership work you've been having me do for the last 3 years. 3 years is obviously going to establish the point that I must be doing something right for this customer. True or false? Bingo. The work I've been doing for the last 3 years, is this something you think would be a benefit to, in essence, Border States? Is it something that Rob might be interested in? Boom, hit send. To find that look, find that like, link to that person, send a business inquiry comment. That literally only took seconds to do. So when you have that awkward 45 minutes during COVID, which everyone had awkward 45 minutes every freaking day for the first 3 months, people were like walking around in a daze. If you would have been double downing on LinkedIn, you would have been finding clients. And that's exactly what I did. Not one of my clients canceled, but I realized everyone else was freaking out there and they were canceling. So in the first couple of months of COVID, if you used LinkedIn in the first couple of months of COVID, you almost could have got connected to anybody. The CEO of a billion-dollar financial organization in North Carolina that would not have probably taken my call in January 2020. I was able to connect request him. I was able to message conversation. I was able to set up Zoom calls, have multiple Zoom calls, find out what his needs and challenges are, talk about leadership programming, other clients like him I'm working with in a non-competitive environment, send me some information. Let's take it to a proposal, send me a contract. Let's get the deposit. Let's get the materials produced. Let's set the starting. All of that happened during COVID. So I'm a huge LinkedIn fan now, folks. Now, don't mishear me. I still do tons of other things, but I'm big on LinkedIn because it's paying the bills. Is that helpful, everybody? Absolutely huge. So I wanted to do a little bit of that extra tirade because it's important data. All right. With that said, page 12, we have in essence 11 minutes, and we have about 2 hours worth of information to go through. In a normal seminar, this is a 2-hour page. Because what I do with my audience, virtually or live, is each of these elements we talk about, what does it look like in our organization? So we can see tangible answers. Making sense? Don't have that much time, so real quickly. Top of the page, Forum organization. They're the only research company I follow. I seldom quote Pew or a university or Gallup, because all of those studies that the other organizations do, the beauty of COVID smoked out every one of those organizations are fraud. All of them are fraud. Prove my point. How many of you also have recognized that whenever someone does a survey, they pretty much have already made up their mind what they want the survey to prove? They do the survey to get data to back it up. Anyone else have that mindset, or just me? See, and COVID really blew up a whole lot of people's surveys because they were saying one thing, and it's like, well, that's interesting because what I'm seeing out here isn't even close to anything you just said. So I like Forum because they'll do the research you want them to do. But if the data doesn't back it up, they're not going to candy coat the data. They're going to give you the answers. That's why I like Forum. So Forum has done massive research on exit interviews and why people leave a job. Massive exit interviews as to why people leave vendors. Massive exit research data on why people change their decisions or trends or behavioral patterns from a consumer standpoint. Here's what they have found. 15% of why customers leave is financially based. You've raised your fee beyond what we can afford. Well, let's talk about it. Maybe you can actually afford it. Let's look at this differently. See, I have found clients that maybe they can't afford the fee, but they have a ton of money in their educational budget on the other side, and they'll pay $500 to $1,000 for materials for a person in the audience. But in essence, well, wait a second, $500 for a media kit, 1,000 people in the audience. How much money is that? Anybody want to help me with math? $50,000. 500 times 100. Is that 5,000 or 50,000? 50. Anyone getting a $50,000 speaking fee in here? Because if you are, I want to shut up and have you start teaching me. See, you just put a number in front of me and go, whoa, wait a second. We can't pay $50,000 for materials to send to Montana. So your budget on one side is a little outside, but see, if you think through it, people can always find money for you. But see, as speakers, we have to unbundle things. Back to financial. Number 2, 15% of people say they leave because of need. N-E-E-D, what they need, you don't offer. Number 3, 25% of people say they leave because of perceptions. Perceptions. Making sense? So 15% leave for financials, 15% leave for need, 25% for perception, 45% for communication. Lack of communication, poor communication, miscommunication. I never post politics on LinkedIn. It is so tempting. Unfortunately, LinkedIn has been hijacked by all the losers from Facebook that in essence wanted to come jump on our platform. LinkedIn is for business and professional, period. It's a sales tool, and originally was created as a sales tool, which is funny when someone says, quit trying to sell to me. It's like, okay, why don't you leave LinkedIn? You're an idiot. That's what it was created for, was selling. Everyone's trying to sell to me. Well, create a templated, positive, polite response when you say, yeah, connect with me, and someone you feel is pitching you, send something back and say, hey, I appreciate you trying to do business. I really do. However, it bugs me a little bit that your first message after I connect with you is trying to pitch me something. I'd prefer if you do 1, 2, 3. I mean, help them to figure out how to do business with you. So with that, in essence, here's the point. So what Forum found is this is why someone leaves. Hey, selling. This may be why they don't come to you. If your fee is too low, number 1, they may not think you're real. If your fee is too high, they can't afford us. If your website's confusing what I need, I can't find it. So if you look at those same 4 answers, it could be why people don't respond or don't come to us. Absolutely huge. Bottom of the page, when we make a decision from a sales perspective, I'm not about to go into Rob's space. This would be completely the wrong answers. But when we make a decision, our brain makes 8 decisions. So put a bracket on the left of 1, 2, 3, 4. Real quickly, put a bracket to the left of 1, 2, 3, 4. On the far right side, notice the lines for 5, 6, 7, 8 are a lot longer. We're going to put 1 word on line 1, 2, 3, 4. We're going to put 2 words on lines 5, 6, 7, 8. So on the left side of 1, 2, 3, 4, you put a bracket. On the right side of 5, 6, 7, 8, on that far right side, put a bracket. Bracketed the 2 sides. Go to the left side. The left side represents IQ. When we make a decision, there's 4 IQ influences to a sales purchase. The right side, 5, 6, 7, 8, that's EQ. There's 4 emotion subsets when we make a decision. Number 4 does not sound like logic, but I'm going to put it there anyway. So don't a little bit later say, well, there's no logic to 4. Just park it anyway. Here's the deal. Someone may hesitate buying us because one of these 8 is what's flashing in their head that they're concerned with. And if you don't speak to it, then that's why they're hesitating. So you have to make sure, number one, you understand your buyer. What role do they serve? Because again, the person you're talking to, they may only be serving 1 or 2 or 3 of those roles. Someone else is going to be making those other decisions. So you need to find out who else is making these decisions. Is it the committee? Is there one other person? Is Kim really going to make the decision? Or is it Ms. Hill because she's the CEO? See, again, that would be asking the questions. Because if I find out Ms. Hill is going to make the decision ultimately at the end, then Kim, what's the one thing that's really going to drive her decisions? It comes down to dollar and cents for her. As soon as you said that, that's financial. Financial goes in one specific area on this page in a minute. So I now need to know, can we set up a time for you and I to both visit with Ms. Hill? No, she won't participate in this one. Okay. Then I've got to make sure I give all the right data to Kim to be able to accurately represent me financially when she's in front of Ms. Hill. So again, that's how you use this page that we spend a lot more time talking on, and I know I'm going a little bit fast. So number one, and in no particular order, but on the logic side, number one, the first thing that's going to impact how we make a decision is going to be financially. Financially. You yourself work this way. You go to buy something online or in a store, you think financially. Can I afford it? Do I put it on payments? Do I put it on a credit card? Do I use a check? I want to build a fence between my yard and, in essence, Kim's yard. Well, again, let me knock on her door. So she'll go and halvesies on the cost of the fence. And she'll say, yeah, I'll pay half of it. But she might go to number 2. Number 2 is going to be the word user. User. She's going to say, well, I don't want to help. I'm not going to touch one piece of wood. Oh, not a problem. I'll do it all. Okay, cool. Let's go. So that's a second logic, a second IQ decision. So one of the IQs is financial. Second's going to be user. Third's going to be technical. Well, what type of wood are you going to use? So she might ask that kind of a question because all of a sudden she thinks she's, a lumberjack. So again, you have to go there. Everyone thinks they're a scientist on certain decisions. And the fourth one, you could call number 4 by lots of names. I call number 4 advocate, the advocate voice. The champion, the cheerleader. This is that person that says, oh my God, this is exactly what we need. This is so great. We've got to get this started. Well, that's great. They're excited, but you might want to say, wait a second. They're excited, but are they going to write the check? Yes. Okay. 2 check marks. Are they going to participate in this? Yes. Okay. 2 check marks. Is it going to really speak to what they need? Yes. Now I got all 4 check marks. Okay. We're probably going to make a sale. But sometimes what happens is you got someone that really loves you, but they're not actually the decision maker. And that's why you're spending 6 months trying to figure out why. I don't know why Rob's not buying me. He said this is absolutely perfect. Well, is he actually the one making the decision? And then you find out the silent partner's involved. You forgot to ask that in your discovery questions, and et cetera, et cetera. So those are logic sides. 5, 6, 7, 8. So emotion is what causes us to really start to lean in to buy something. And then logic shows up to help us to say yes or no sometimes. So number 5 is the word better. People always want a better solution. They're using, in essence, Dr. Gwynn as their speaker or trainer or consultant, then you need to ask the vetting questions. What do you like most about how she does X, Y, and Z? Because again, if you want to get them to buy you also or to buy you instead, you better find out what they like, because your proposal, worst case scenario, your proposal better equal what they're getting right now. People will buy equal. We typically like to get more. People don't go in and say, wow, this really works. Let me buy something that's worse. I mean, no store is going to imagine that on Amazon or in front of Walmart. Highest prices on town, biggest crap in the universe, and no warranty. Come on in. I mean, no one's going to buy that. Our brain goes the other direction. So better. Number 6 is going to be faster. Faster is about efficiency. That's where we should all have a check mark, if not anywhere else on this. Every time we work with a customer, it should be that the net result of us having come in is going to help them to be more efficient, more effective, more profitable. So that, in essence, faster means faster is of efficiency. So we have better, faster. 7 is going to be different. What makes you different than someone else? NSA Houston needs another speaker. That's what we need. We need one more person to join our chapter. Yeah, we need another speaker like a freaking hole in the head. Unless that speaker's different. Come on in. See where I'm going? Think about it. I'm a meeting planner and I'm doing conventions. Before COVID, they had 1,000 speakers probably blasting them. True or false? So what really makes you different? Anyone else talk on leadership? Raise your hand here real quickly. Anyone else on leadership? Bingo. 5 of us are all incredibly successful because we're doing all 8 of these, whether you realize it or not. But number 7 is what you really fix it on. What makes your perspective on leadership, your deliverable on leadership a little bit different? Because if it's not, now you and I are an apple-to-apple comparison. I don't even want it to be an apple-to-orange comparison because, see, now stay with me. Abundance mentality is apple-to-apple and apple-to-orange and apple-to-plywood. See, abundance takes you outside of where everyone else is. When you're playing with a limited pie, which is what Cavett taught us to think about, make it bigger. When you're thinking about market share, everyone has been taught to think market share, and that's why I smile all day long. Market share is the fastest way to not grow. Market share is the fastest way to go out of business, because market share says how many people are buying this kind of a product and what percentage of that am I getting. Yeah, we still want to compete there, but market potential, abundance mentality says, where do you create a new customer? When I took my leadership programs and realized the top 2 training programs that Skill Path and Fred Pryor and Career Track seminars use, if you know any contract speakers for those companies, there's a really good likelihood they're not paying attention to who wrote the material. Dealing with conflict and confrontation in a workplace, that's a Jeff Magee designed program. Coaching and team building skills for supervisors and managers, it's a Jeff Magee program. I designed those programs for both of those companies over 20 years ago, and they had the DVDs and the workbooks back in the old days. Then it went to CDs, and now it's all online. And I can grab product off my bookshelf to back that statement up. I wrote that. I had the copyright. I had the joint license. And I got a royalty for 20 years every time someone went out. So all these people being trained on how to do those 2 topics are actually learning midget Jeff Magee content. It's 20 years old. Anything you think evolved in 20 years? So my tirade is, look at those 8 words, and we all can be in the same category, but no, we're not the same. If you have your own unique IP, go back to LinkedIn and give you those clues. All right, so here's how you use this page. Better, faster, different. Number 8's cost effective. 8's cost effective. So put an equal sign next to better, faster, different, cost effective, so we can put the second word on each of those lines, and then I'll wrap it up and hand it back to Kim. All right, Kim, you and I are going to role play for everybody else. Everyone else, you're Kim. So we have consistency. If I'm coming in and doing this in an organization, I have everyone in a room participate, but we come up with one answer on each of these lines, 5, 6, 7, 8. So we have a universal lexicon in the room when I leave. Now, you may do something different, but at least we have a reference point, a benchmark. So Kim, at your desk, if you had a set of, so several different, if you had a set of color highlighters that you could use to highlight something in a book or on a page, give me a color. What's one of the colors you'd have on your desk?
Yellow.
Yellow. Everyone. Number 5. 5 says better. Better equals yellow. Write down yellow next to better. Kim, give me a second color.
Blue.
Blue. Line 6 is what? What word's on line 6?
Faster.
Faster. Faster equals blue. Write down blue. Give me a third color.
Green.
Green. What's on line 7?
Difference.
Different. So if 7 says different, different equals green. So I've got what? Yellow. What's my second color?
Blue.
Blue. Third is?
Green.
Green. Give me the fourth last color from your desk.
Purple.
Purple. Okay, a light purple, not a heavy purple. Heavy purple marker is going to screw up the next exercise. So you can write down purple. So purple equals cost effective. So go back. I asked the question earlier. Think if you have 2 or 3 or 20 emails outbound right now where you're trying to talk to someone about buying your product, whether you're in the first email outbound or several, but they're not responding back. I said hit print on several of those in a black and white setting. They're sitting on the side of your desk. Grab them one at a time. Pick that letter up. Anything that speaks to different gets what color highlight?
Green.
Green. Anything that talks to better gets what color highlight?
Yellow.
When you're done, any black ink, any black diagram, any black picture, any black headline that's not color highlighted serves no psychological purpose to motivate them to take action. Those words have no purpose. Get rid of them. I said hit print on your website, the exercise on your website, black and white setting. Hit print on every page if you want, or the ones that typically people come to first. Now go back with those 4 colors. When you're done, any picture, graph, label, design, words, text that's not highlighted serves no motivating factor. That's what you pay an ad agency, design companies, media firms, consulting firms to figure out what triggers, what has the calls to action. I just made it incredibly simple and easy for you right there. So today was, again, some different thoughts on selling and marketing than hopefully what you've ever heard before. Get us out of the box and how we look at selling and marketing a little bit differently so we can become much more effective. There's a lot more I could share. We've ran out of time, and that's what I chose to hit. And Kim, you said shut up right now. Right now would have been 2 minutes ago, but you guys took a longer break, so it's not my fault. Actually, it is my fault because I was talking during your break. So we came for a lot of ideas. So take a deep breath. I know I gave you a lot of thoughts, but Monday, Tuesday, think about these notes. What could be a call to action? But guess what? One of the call to actions I've already done, because your phone Monday morning is going to ping you. And I gave you a second call to action, but you've already done something because Friday it's going to ping you. So the beauty of this workshop for our chapter today is it's not what are you going to do when you go home. There's at least two things that are going to hold you accountable on your phone to make you go do something. So if there's anything you want from me, we can pen pal back and forth, send me email, anything I can share with you. I'm more than happy to do whatever we can do. But again, our job has never been more important. We're not first responders. We're more important than first responders. We're not government officials. We're more important than government officials. We're not, if you think about all these people who are getting all the credit out there, I'm going to be selfish. We're more important than all of them because collectively we represent the people that make them more successful. Collectively, we are the people that keep them focused and grounded and appreciated and successful. So our job is more needed today than ever. So if your business in the past 10 months has not been where you want it to be, I'm hoping I gave you some tools today to start to take action to change that. On that note, Mr. Pennington, thank you. Madam President, thank you. Kim, can't thank you enough. Appreciate it. All of you guys, thank you much. Back to you guys. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Jeff. We appreciate it.
Thank you.
I'm glad this is recorded because it's so much great information. I need to go back and make sure that I know where to start. But it's really good stuff. So I want to say thank you for spending some time with NSA Houston. We know you could have been doing anything this morning, even sleeping. So we have a little something that we like to share as just kind of a thank you for your time. So each one of the people that attended today wrote a little note that says what your presentation, how it resonated with each of us. I'll send this to you. So, you know,
wow, that is platinum. Thank you guys so much. Wow.
I'll send that to you. So if you need to remember sometimes why you what you do is awesome, hopefully that little note from NSA Houston will remind you.
Thank you guys. I've never seen that done before. Brilliant. That's a USF right there. Unique selling feature.
USF. Okay. What about a wow? Is it a wow?
It's beyond wow. It's a wow into infinity.
Well, we appreciate you. Before we get out of here, does anybody have questions for Dr. Jeff? I suggest that everybody connect with him on LinkedIn. If you look in the chat, somebody did put his LinkedIn page. If you're not connected with him, make sure you do so that you can stay in touch. He's very responsive.
How about the email? Can we have his?
2 emails. So my business email is my name, like probably a lot of yours. So it's Jeffrey@JeffreyMagee.com. So just catch the spelling in my little Zoom box window so you don't misspell it. So it's Jeffrey@JeffreyMagee.com. My personal email, and since how a lot of us are tenured in age, and we have a couple of younger rock stars as well. My personal is an AOL email, which does still exist, in case you didn't know that. So my personal AOL is Dr. Jeff Speaks. Dr. Jeff Speaks at AOL.com. Both of those come to me. I try to monitor both of them, but my AOL only comes to me. And again, Kim made the comment, very responsive. I only monitor my AOL, my Jeffrey Magee. I also monitor, but my sales director, he also monitors it, and my office manager that keeps all of us on track, does all our production stuff. She also monitors. I've got 2 other people on the Jeffrey Magee site. I'm also there, but send it to me, doctor. Send it to my AOL. That's my personal. It's there. And again, on my LinkedIn profile is my personal cell number, so you can harvest that. If you want to text me a question, I have no problem. No one's ever abused it. Sometimes people say, "Oh my God, you put that down." It's like, it's like telling an audience of 100 people, "Hey, here's my email. Here's my phone number. Call me if you want." People freak out. I have found that it's like less than 1% ever take action. And fortunately, I've never, had someone be negative or bad about it. But so email me, yes, ma'am. Anything I can send.
Thank you.
And would you also be willing to share any of the people that you use, like your graphics team? Because I know
absolutely. So let me give you the names, and you guys can tell me who you want. So graphically, I have 3 people I use. ALEM, Alem is my #1 go-to. He's the gentleman in Bosnia. He's in his 30s, I would say. Another lady and husband, her company, in Daryl's. They're both from the Philippines. I'm not going to try to attempt her name, so I'm going to go with Daryl. That's his. Daryl in the Philippines, he's done some great graphics for me recently. But the one that actually is raising the bar on both of them, there's a new guy, Zayed, Z-I-A-D, a young guy that responded to one of my project proposals who's in Egypt. He has brought to the table some really out of the box graphics that are professional, but not something I ever would have thought of, that I actually said, you know what, I've got to use that. I never would have thought that. It's not damaging my brand. Those are cool. So those are 3 people. But my workbooks, you know, again, this is my design concept, my business card, my workbooks. A lot of my marketing materials, probably 90% of everything I do is with Alum. He's my go-to, and the other 2 are my backups. So example, Alum, I have him create 4 media pieces that I can use as a PDF and a JPEG. I can embed them in emails. I can email them out to people. I can hit print and print them, and I put them on LinkedIn, and I pay him $200 for 4, so $50 for each. And he's never said it's too much, too low. The gentleman in the Philippines the other day, one of the things I do when I hire someone the second time that I think I really want to work with, I actually set up a Zoom call to get to know them a little bit, which freaks people out, but hey, that's the way I work. And that was the one I quickly learned, and he shared that the average pay of someone for an entire month in the Philippines is $400, and that was like, that was freaking shocking. I had no clue. And I said, so you know what, I basically said something to the effect of something like, pardon my language, said, that's bullshit. No one should have to live like the way you're living. So I can't do that. So let's do this. What if I do about $1,000 a month with work with you? Would that be of interest to you? What do you think he said?
Yeah.
I blew up his brain. It's kind of like he almost started crying. Are you serious? I mean, he didn't think I was, because 200 was already more than what he ever gets. Usually people are nickel and diming him. So that's my reference point. I haven't paid more than that. The least I've paid is $100. I also have some people, and these all tend to be in the Philippines and different people. But for example, my avatar. Can I take a couple more minutes, or do I need to shut up?
Go ahead.
Okay. So my avatar is a business that has at least 200 employees minimum. So I don't proactively go after any business that has less than 200 to 300 employees. It doesn't mean I won't talk with less, but I'm not consciously going there. And the business, typically, I don't want them to have more than around 1,000-ish employees. The reason, for me, what I recognize, a business that has between 200 to 1,000 employees has nobody in training. They don't have a training department. They have HR, and some of them only have one person in HR. So they're also trying to do training, which means the only training they're really doing is compliance-based. How to onboard someone to work, this machine, that line, this, et cetera. So you're seen as a massive strategic asset with them. And now, again, whoever hires you, whether it's HR or not, which typically, as I said earlier, no HR ever hires me. So when I come in, I ingratiate myself to the HR director, whether it's Randy or Michael, from a perspective of what's working, what's not working. Your wish list. I know you've got to have a lot of things you wish you could do, but you just don't have time. What are some of those things that maybe I could do for you and with you? So again, and all of a sudden now they're freaking in love with you. I mean, almost every one of my major clients, I have a standing, 2 of them, I have a standing weekly 1-hour Zoom coaching call with the HR directors, because they're going to be your champion really in that company, not the senior executive. So one of them, I have a standing every Tuesday morning, 6 a.m. I have a 1-hour Zoom call with the lady in Wisconsin. I've got a 7 a.m. standing Zoom call with a guy in California. And then a couple others are like, once a month, twice a month sort of element. So that's huge. So my avatar is that size, that reason. Now, the other reason, if they have 200 to 300 employees, it doesn't matter what your fee is. It doesn't even matter. They have 200 to 300 employees, whatever your fee is, they can afford. So money is not the issue when you're talking to the senior leader about how you can help them. But when you're talking to HR, money's always going to be an issue because they're working in a budget. The guy in California, here's the example. The guy in California, the COO gave me his credit card. So every month I run his credit card. And then I just send the invoice to accounting, which has about 14, 15 employees. Do you think accounting's ever going to bitch about what that invoice charge is off the COO's credit card, who's the 51% owner of the company? Notice the bouncing ball from Romper Room. So what's interesting, so someone changed in the accounting area, and the person sent me an email saying, we have a charge on the card. What's it for? Oh, okay. I was sending it to an email that now we learned in their own company. No one's taking the emails from an employee when they leave and having them funneled over there. So that's an IT issue. So now you're helping the company on that one as well. So not a problem. I sent it to her. First time I sent it to her, I'm thinking, okay, I wonder if there's going to be a policy issue. Are they going to start to say, we would rather you not use the credit card for this, can you invoice us? Her response was, thank you very much. I love working with you. See, again, she's not going to override the COO. The HR director for 2 years had no freaking clue what I was charging him for training. for 2 years. This year, he was asked to put a training budget together. And so his first call was, Dr. Magee, I have no clue what you're charging this company for whatever it is you're doing. And now they want us to put a budget together because now they have hired more HR people, which I championed to the senior leadership team to help him to go from 1 employee. Now he has 7 employees. Do you think he likes me?
Yeah.
Absolutely. Yeah. So again, that's how you become ingrained in the company. And even though you're virtual, they start to view you as if you're one of them. So money-wise, company size-wise, opportunity-wise. And I also, all of my clients, here's my last word. I was not going to give it to you today, but you guys gave me a platinum. Thank you. Let me give you a platinum back. Every one of your customers should be in a category that people have just learned about in the last 12 months. This was the secret I learned after 9/11 with Marjorie Brody when she said, what the hell's going on? I'm losing clients. You're getting clients. I didn't realize. And so since then, I have built my business around one word. If you haven't been hearing it, pay attention. You will. And I use this word, you'll realize, holy crap, I've heard it all over the place in the last year. Every one of your clients need to be in the category that the federal government's been calling essential. If your businesses are essential, your business should have not slowed down or zeroed out during COVID. And anyone whose clients were in the essential market that they lost business in COVID, they're a good person. I'm patting my heart. They're a good person, but they're an absolute idiot. They have no clue what they were doing. I don't know how you can have the all-star football team going up against junior high school kids and lose. It's just, it is mathematically impossible. You have to work hard to lose that game. If your clients are essential, they did not shut down during 9/11, and they didn't shut down now. Go back to the Cosmopolitan. Within a week, I was still doing work with the Cosmopolitan because my primary group I'm working with was the facilities management team. The VP of facilities, that's all the people that keep the building open and working. Even if the front door shut for us, you still have to keep heating and cooling and electricity and things working. True or false?
True.
They didn't cancel one event. They just flipped it to virtual. My manufacturing clients are all in essential spaces, virtual and live. My agri clients, virtual and live. My financial clients are essential, virtual and live. Not one of my clients slowed down or stopped, and everyone was essential. So that's my platinum gift back to you. So look for all businesses, manufacturing, distribution, or service. If they're in an essential market space, they're golden 24/7 year round until you die of old age.
Awesome.
Thank you guys so much.
I'll be in touch, Dr. Jeff.
Thank you all. Anything I can do to help you, just you guys reach out. I'll let you go. Bye-bye. Have an awesome weekend.
All right. Have a great
Thanks,
day.
Jeff.
Thank you so
Thank
much.
you guys.
All right, everybody. Hey, thanks for sticking around. I hope you got something that you can use and you'll start using your stuff on Monday. Our next program is, I think it's April the 20th. I'm looking at my calendar. It's the third. It is the third Saturday in April. It's the 17th of April. And we're going to be talking about using your phone for video, how to make videos effectively and easily from your phone. So we'll send out some information about that. But that's all I have, Alana.
Great. Thank you. Just a couple of quick announcements and reminders. For one, NSA influence registration is open, but here's what I really want to pass on. When you register, use NSA Houston as your, there's a code that you put in there to ask for a chapter code. Use that chapter code, the chapter benefits, and we pass that benefit on to you. So we really want to make sure, and we're also going to send out an email, but use NSA Houston in the chapter code, and that's whether you go virtually or whether you go face-to-face. I mean, NSA Influence is NSA's big flagship conference. You learn so much, you network so much, so I really, really encourage you, whether it's from the comfort of your home or whether you make your way to Vegas to participate in that. And then the other thing I wanted to mention from the NSA national standpoint, be on the lookout for a huge, because time won't permit me to go into details, but NSA's national membership has changed. They've changed the criteria to be a national member. Just in brevity, you no longer have to qualify. So I really want to really stress the importance of being a national and chapter member, because there are added benefits, added networking. We're getting some information out to you about that with some more details, so be on the lookout for that. That goes into effect very soon. Thank you for your participation today. And Kim, I'll let you give a final closing if you have one.
Yeah, that pretty much sums it up. So thank you guys. You know, it always, if there's something that you think you'd like to see as a program or a lab, shoot me an email. Let us know, because this is all about what's good for everybody. And so just reach out and say, hey, you know, I'd be interested in this kind of program. I encourage people to do that. Some of you haven't, so thank you for that. And that's it for me. I'll see you guys next time. Enjoy this great weather.
Bye. See you guys.
Bye.
Thank you all, and bye-bye.